Are you ready?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
How's everyone doing tonight for us? Actually, guys, we're actually pretty late with this podcast episode. It's been a couple of days, man. It's been
Playing
a
some
couple
John
of
Williams in the
days.
background.
I know he's doing that. We're trying to get copyrighted here, guys. But yeah. We are PS Comps. I love you. I am one of your hosts, JR Kabakun, aka the Dark King. And to my left, we have the one, the only.
The freaking Jedi Master, voice of reason, aka Kevin Pillow. Give me rock. I will rock that purple lightsaber all day long. Right there. There's the Bamf looking right over JR's shoulder. The Sith Lord,
Uh-huh.
aka the Dark King. There's Mace Windu. We will get
Yep.
to Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. If you are playing along at home, this is a half-assed version of a watch along because we don't have the budget to pay for copyright. So we can't do like the little boop, little
Mm-hmm.
pop up video. So
Not a full hour in some
no.
some change, guys. Not a full
So what
hour.
we're gonna do is like we did last week. We're gonna start the movie before we get to news and notes, and by
Mhm.
the time we get into the main topic of the show, we should be into the meat and potatoes of the movie. So with that said, we are doing episode 2 of
Mhm.
the Star Wars saga, now known as the Skywalker saga.
Mhm.
So if you've got a DVD, a Blu-ray, pop it in, get to the main menu. For
Mhm.
me, I'm watching it on iTunes. I've got Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin, Mace Windu. We got Yoda, the clone troopers on the screen. So if you're watching it on digital, get to the main screen where it says play, extras, whatever. So,
Mhm.
if you're there, we're going to start 3, 2, 1, play. See if I haven't watched the prequels. Oh,
Pretty,
okay.
pretty well.
Start from the beginning. Someone was watching them. Oh wait, that was me doing homework.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah.
There is
I'm
the
actually.
20th Century Fox theme. They did go back. Now I don't know if we covered this in last week's episode. I want to cover it in this week's episode. For those of you who don't know, when Fox was purchased by Disney, well, first off, when Disney bought Lucasfilm Limited or Lucasfilm back what 2012,
Mhm.
2013, right in there. Show me that big go. There it is, Star Wars. Okay, when they bought Lucasfilm, they only gained the rights to episodes 1, 2, and 3, 5, and 6. They did not have A New Hope. When George Lucas made the deal of the century in 1977, he relinquished the distribution rights to episode 4, which we'll get more into when we get to episode 4.
Sure.
Um, and he got the merchandising rights, which of course, let's face it, in the long run, he made out in the deal. Well, when Lucasfilms was purchased by Disney, they couldn't put the 20th Century Fox theme up there, so it was eliminated from the digital release. They edited in the new Lucasfilm Limited logo, whatever. But when Fox was purchased by Disney, obviously giving them the complete saga under one umbrella, and they of course returned to episodes 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. They returned to the 20th Century Fox because we know that officially 7, 8, and 9 were all distributed by um, by Disney.
Mhm.
Um, this is, I think this one's kind of an underrated movie. So, anyways,
Yeah.
we'll get
It's
to the movie. I'll have it in the background. Let's get
yeah.
to the news and notes.
Sure.
Um, let's get to the good story before we get to the bad story because a lot of people know where we're heading. Um, Never thought I'd see the day. Well, then again, we are in the golden era of TV with so
Yeah.
much platforms to be added that people need to compete. So why not rehash some old stuff? That's right. Chuck Norris is coming back to TV. The most successful franchise in his career, Walker Texas Ranger, is returning to the CW. Jared Padalecki, of course, from
Yep.
Supernatural, wonderful actor, will star as Cordell Walker. Now,
Yep.
this is did they figured out what he's?
Yeah. It's
doing?
basically it's they're rebooting the whole thing, right? It's this Cordell Walker, this Walker Texas Ranger, this Texas Ranger is not gonna be akin to the old. It's not gonna be akin to the old Chuck Norris
Okay,
Walker
so
Texas.
this is whole
Brand new,
new.
whole new one, whole new Texas Ranger. It's made from the CW, right? So the same guys that made the 100, same guys that made Supernatural, Smallville, all the DC, all the
The
DC,
Arrowverse.
Arrowverse, all that stuff, right? And so you have the one thing that I really do like of what CW is doing is that they're using the same cast and characters that have been in their other properties. So Jared Padalecki from Supernatural for the last 15 years. It's crazy. I saw a interview with him, right? Like he was supposed to get done with Supernatural sometime in May, sometime earlier this year, and literally in the same month he was supposed to be start shooting Walker, right?
Yeah,
This was, Walker was announced a while ago. Yeah, about 2019, and they finally put out a date for it. And so he got done shooting Walker in September. No, he got done shooting Supernatural in September, and literally at the end of that month he started shooting Walker. And so yeah, they have a release date set for next year on the 21st. But again, at the same time, it's a CW, so they're using the same around the same casting characters from other shows. So you have Lindsay Morgan from the 100, you have Odette Annabelle, who was one of the I guess the big bads, I guess, like one of the evil characters from Supergirl. She'll play
Mhm.
Jerry. There are other couple people there too. Jared Padalecki's wife, Genevieve, right? She was also in Supernatural, right? As a demon and herself for some reason. It's like you've seen those shows where, like, they've been around so long that they have that reality episode
Yeah,
where they where they go to a reality where they're themselves, and so
yeah.
his wife.
Supernatural did that a couple of times.
Yeah,
Kind of
I
broke
like
down
it.
the fourth wall and
Mhm.
entered into our dimension, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to have a podcast just about that. Be like just the whole thing where that particular episode, the characters that they play go back to the world as the actors that play them, and so which is a funny one to have. But yeah, it's set to premiere the 21st of next year, 2021. Sorry, I put 2020 for some reason. I don't know, but
Yeah, I
2021.
knew what you meant. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
I'm happy about that, man. And just to let y'all know, man, Jensen Ackles, who played Dean in the show, is actually playing Soldier Boy or Soldier something in The Boys next season, which is another show. Which, for those who don't know, The Boys is the showrunner is Eric Kripke, who was the original showrunner for Supernatural the first 5 seasons. The original, I guess you would call, we call it the canonical Kripke versions of Supernatural 1 through 5. So Kripke, ever since Supernatural ended, he asked Justin to come to his show on The Boys. So that's great.
I
Love
need to
that.
get in on the boys. I've got so much um there's just so much stuff out there
Mm-hmm. There's so
that
much stuff coming out. Yeah,
there's
man.
just there is really so much stuff out there that it's like I said, a lot of people will say that the golden era of television was probably in the early 2000s when you had stuff
So
like The
many.
Sopranos and you had
Yeah.
Oz and
Mm-hmm.
you had all the
Prison
sitcom
Break.
stuff on. What's that?
Lost, Prison Break,
Lost,
Lost.
Prison Break, yeah.
Yeah.
For the ladies, a little Sex in the City, but really and truly, there's so much out there right now,
Mhm.
creativity wise. Of course, as we're now entering into the part where Obi-Wan and a young Anakin Skywalker, played by
Christensen.
Hayden Christensen, the
Yes,
actor who
Master.
single-handedly tried to ruin the saga.
Oh
It's really
man,
sad because he's not a horrible actor,
he's
and
not.
he has come to embrace, and like he understands, like maybe he didn't do a fantastic job and he could have done a lot better. Um,
Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
get to hate. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah.
Like JR said, it's January 21st, 2021. So 1/21/21 is
Mhm.
when Walker Texas Ranger, the new Walker Texas Ranger, starring Jared Padalecki, will air on the CW. Speaking of Star Wars, season 2 of The Mandalorian hit Disney Plus this past Friday at midnight, making all of the uh, interwebs say it is the way.
Yep. Yep.
There are at least 2 people on planet Earth who have not seen the first episode of season 2, and you're looking right at their beautiful faces right now.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, for one of 2 reasons. Number one, I'm still binging through season 1, rewatching. I have seen season 1.
Mhm.
I'm just binging
Same.
back through. JR, on the other hand, is doing it all for you. He is Captain. No, I'm not. I wasn't saying I was going to call you Captain Selfish, but you're not. You're actually being very unselfish and
Yeah.
saving all his love for you, aka his Star Wars love. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
think eventually we're both going to crack down and probably watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who don't like, I'm actually holding off until literally because we're doing all Star Wars, guys.
Yeah, we're
So
doing.
we're doing all Star Wars. We're going through episode 1 through 9, as well as the solo arcs. Right. We're talking about Solo. We're talking
Solo
about
and Rogue One.
and then we're also talking about the TV shows, the anime TV shows, as the extended universe, the books, like we said before, as well as quite possibly the one thing to probably save Star Wars, the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian and like JR said, the Clone Wars
Yeah.
and Rebels. It
Mm-hmm.
is also, there is a possibility. I thought about this. I have not. This is going to be a surprise on JR.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the long-standing Star Wars property that has never seen the light of day, and that, of course, is, well, at least not since its original airing, and that is the famed or infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. Uh,
Ah.
However,
Uh-huh.
there is going to be a holiday special this Christmas.
Mhm.
It's going to be Lego Star Wars, the holiday special. So we might get another chance at Wookiee Life Day and get to see that. So maybe we'll do a watch along style, like a bonus episode of Lego Star Wars holiday special when it comes out, either end of this month or next month. Can you believe it? We're in the holiday season already.
Oh man, I'm happy, but at the same time, man, where the heck did this year go?
Speaking of that time of the year, a special shout outs to not only my father, who turned when we recorded this, turned 68 years old, and of course a very special shout out to one of our faithful listeners, and of course another family member of the group here, your sister Candace,
Yep.
celebrated her birthday today. So
She just turned 13
she just turned 13 again.
again
Again,
for the.
honestly, I don't even know how old Candace is.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say how old she is because I know, but it's just rude to say her actual age, so it's fine, especially when she's not here to say it herself.
Not here to punch you.
Mm.
Oh, she hit the big one today.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, good for her.
So
All
yeah.
right. Well, happy birthday, Candace. Happy birthday, Dad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when we talk about birthdays, it is the celebration of the opening of our great book, the book of life, the book of our existence. Obviously, I celebrated 39 years on planet Earth back in August. And, well, unfortunately, one of the absolute legends. I don't think there is any other word to describe this man.
Yeah.
Other than 3 words. Bond. James Bond. Sean Connery passed away at the age of 90 years old this past weekend. It was. I don't know what else you can say about him. Let's see. What a way to go, by the way. Was it on Halloween Day or was it on Friday?
On Halloween. He
So
passed away on Halloween. Thankfully, in his sleep.
passed
So,
away in his sleep on Halloween, or as JR says, All Hallows Eve. And what a way to go too, in the Bahamas. Nonetheless.
He's been living in the Bahamas last couple years now. But he's still on a tax exile in his home countries, and so of both of Scotland and England. So yeah, so he can only be in Scotland and England for a couple of days, a couple of weeks in the year. So just other stuff in the past, blah blah blah. He's always been a very
Reclusive person.
man.
Yeah,
He's been a reclusive man last couple of decades now, but ever since he retired, man. But like, he has his family there with him, his loved ones. His son said that he did have some some health problem before then, and like, but granted, like, man, 9 years old, passed away in the Bahamas, surrounded by loved ones, family, and in your sleep. Like, it's he's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He single-handedly is the reason why we have James Bond on film.
Absolutely.
He's single-handedly the reason why James Bond is relevant, honestly. Like, the James Bond, the books were good, but they were never capitulated to the point where, like, if there was, you always think of the movies before you think of the book, unless you're a full-on purist, right?
Yeah.
There are, but let's aside from that, it's always going to be Sir Sean Connery.
Yeah, of course.
When you think of of James Bond. So
born August 25th, 1930 in Fountain Bridge, Edinburgh, Scotland. Like JR said, he passed away in Nassau, Bahamas, in his sleep. The man has a resume that reads like a what's what of Hollywood heavyweights. He played Captain Marco Ramius in The Hunt for Red October, one of my dad's favorite movies of all time.
Great movie.
He played Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez in The Highlander. There can be only one. Of course, his last, get this, JR, his last major project ever was 17 years ago when he did The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a completely and utterly underrated movie.
Yeah, it was.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to.
And tidbit, he was actually in the running to play Professor Xavier, right? It's just that he passed it over because he's like, I don't really know, right? Because he was one of the first people, they asked, right? Other than because you have to cast, both you had to cast Xavier and Magneto first. And so
God, really and truly, can anybody have done better than Patrick Stewart?
That would been the tough one, man. And just to hear Xavier with a Scottish accent though, because he is Scottish.
Yeah, I mean, you Xavier. I mean, that is very UK-esque.
Yeah, at the same time, you can't. I can't picture Xavier. I can't picture.
But what was the guy who played him in New Class?
He is actually Irish. That is.
He's Irish. He's Irish.
Okay. He was in Wanted. I forgot his name.
I cannot remember his name now.
Yeah. He was in Wanted. He was in that one very great romance.
Atonement.
Atonement. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a funny story which connects to Star Wars. Go with me. It's a 6 degrees of separation. Obviously, we discussed on last week's episode that Keira Knightley was in episode 1. She plays one of the handmaidens. She was in Atonement with James McAvoy. James McAvoy.
Yep.
Watching the British version of the Tonight Show, which is Graham Norton. It's a funny, irreverent talk show, hysterical. You should watch it. Find it on YouTube. You will fall down the freaking rabbit hole of goodness. Anyways, on there, he's talking to Keira Knightley, and he says, "Do you have any funny on-screen love scene stories?" They were talking about embarrassing love scenes, and she talks about being absolute best friends with James McAvoy. And in that scene, they have a passionate moment where she's pinned up against the wall, and so they're just kind of like awkwardly sitting there, and the director goes, "Hey, Kia, wank him off." Just like, it was my terrible accent, by the way. It's a hilarious story. Keira Knightley tears a hell of a lot better. But check it out. Maybe if I remember to find the clip, I'll find it on our social media site. But going back to Sir Sean Connery, of course, he also played Dr. Henry Jones Sr. We know later he is, and actually Henry Jones the First, as we found out in the fourth Indiana Jones, that Mudd is actually Henry Jones Jr. the Third. After after the main Indiana Jones being Harrison Ford. But no, I absolutely loved it. And I never, ever, until I was an adult, even then I don't give a crap, ever questioned the fact that Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, who's as Americana as you can get. He's as Americana as hot dogs and apple pie. And here it is, an obvious, not even hiding the accent, Scottish actor. You have James Bond playing Indiana Jones's father, and it's never really fully explained. Though it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't matter at that point.
Henry Jones Sr. was great. Here's Sean Connery. There was no better. I really don't believe there's anybody who could play Indiana Jones's father better than James Bond and Sean Connery. Obviously, he also won an Academy Award playing Jim Malone in The Untouchables. Very one of his most iconic lines in the movie. We cannot repeat on this particular show, but it is a great line in it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is how he finds his untimely demise in the movie. But of course, the only role he played it 6 times officially for the official James Bond group, and that is he played the iconic 007 Ian Fleming's James Bond in a multitude of movies, including the first Dr. No, which was fantastic stuff. Anyways, I don't know, what was your favorite James Bond with him?
I was looking at it. I was either thinking of Dr. No, or because like it was Goldfinger. That was definitely one of my favorites. Goldfinger, right? And that was the one. I think I watched that when I was a kid. There was a time like when TBS was still on, I was watching TBS and all that stuff, where they just showed a string of old James Bond movies, right? And I forgot which movie it was, but the one that got me hooked on it was the campier ones where it was like James was in the car, and then it like he had to jump a bridge, right? But the car itself like did a 360 turn midair.
Yeah.
And landed. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me in. And then I just watched Goldmember. I watched Goldfinger right after that, man. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm in.
Taking a look at his tenure as James Bond, he started in 1962 with Dr. No, followed in 63 with From Russia with Love, Goldfinger in 64, Thunderball in 65, You Only Live Twice in 67, and I think that may have been, and Diamonds Are Forever in 1971.
That's good.
He took a break from the role, and he played in a he did Never Say Never Again, which I think was that officially, that was in 83. Was that the official one, or is that the unofficial one?
I don't know.
I don't know, but there is one where he left and they got him back, and he did an unofficial James Bond movie. But fantastic. He is, of course, he was always referred to by most as your father's James Bond. I obviously grew up with Pierce Brosnan. I enjoyed Pierce as James Bond. One of my favorite James Bond movies is The World Is Not Enough.
Yep.
And then Casino Royale. would be one of my other favorites. Skyfall's another one. So I like Daniel Craig, but like you said, I like the campiness of
Hmm.
Doctor No and Goldfinger and
Yeah.
stuff like
I,
that. So
I definitely know that the best Bond is going to be Sean Connery, but
huh,
for me, my favorite Bond was definitely Pierce Brosnan for
there's
me
one.
though.
I will say you left one great role off of this list.
Hmm.
And
Hit me.
I referenced that by saying the final words that we will say to anyone who goes on to their great reward, and that is in the voice of Sean Connery. I say, Godspeed.
Hmm.
Meaning, obviously, reference to one of his best movies with Michael Bay, and that was The
Hmm.
Rock with
Totally fair with Rock. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage. And that's where he
Yeah.
goes, Godspeed, good
That was a
speed, who
good.
gives a shit? Some
That was a good
oh
movie.
god, so it was such an underrated. I watched it last night. Didn't even make it to the Sean Connery part. I fell asleep. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's a good flick. Some great lines, well acted. It's probably one of Michael Bay's most underrated flicks.
Mhm.
We'll talk about that one of these days. We'll just rip apart Michael Bay and talk about where did you go wrong with this and Con Air.
Yes. Well,
Now
you do Bad Boys 1 and 2. That's where you go wrong.
I liked Bad Boys.
I loved it too, man, but like he got super zany on in 2.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
He got super like those camera angle. Okay, we'll hold it
Well,
to the scene.
we will do a
We'll
Michael
hold it.
Bay because
Yeah.
we will just tear to shreds Transformers.
Mhm.
Um, anyways, now we are on to the big topic at hand, and that is part two of our unless you had any other James Sean Connery stories.
No, man. We're good. I
Um,
know that wait. No, never mind. I was thinking of a different person. I think Canis, my sister, I think she's met Sean Connery when he was over here one time during a film festival in Palm
yeah,
Springs.
he's made multiple drop-ins in the Coachella Valley. I know with the International Film Festival, which, by the way, we could talk about that here for a moment as a tie-in. But before I forget, it was announced at press time when we recorded this. It's November 2nd. It was officially announced earlier today that the Palm Springs International Film Festival will be canceled
Hmm.
in January of 2021 due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yet another casualty to COVID-19 here in the Coachella Valley. We already do have word that next month's Tamale Festival in Indio has been
Yeah.
canceled. And then
Yep.
fast forward to the late winter of 2021, we do know that for the first time since I think ever, the Riverside County Fair and National Date Festival will also
Mm,
not take place in 2021.
yeah.
And just to compound things, we found out a couple of weeks ago officially that Golden Voice has moved Coachella Fest and most likely Stagecoach to October of 2021 or possibly even into 2022. So the Coachella Valley continues to get pounded when it comes to our big events, but no word yet on the PGA Tour stop that takes place in La Quinta. We don't know yet about the BNP Paribas Open, which is a
Yeah.
tennis tournament. This isn't a sports show.
Mm.
But I will have to say, since our last recording, go Dodgers.
Mm.
Thank you,
Go
JR,
LA.
for that post.
LA sports, man.
Hey, did you see the cool LA times two shirts that are out there?
Yeah, I
Those are
did.
pretty cool.
I want that, man. Like, hey, man, it's a knock on wood. There's some silver linings coming out of this year. Lakers win. Lakers win. Dodgers win. Clippers are still losers. So
They were this
here we
close.
are. This
Uh,
close.
Steve Ballmer, he's got a lot to work with on that
I
on
mean,
that team. But
yeah, I mean, like, granted, well, I'll just talk a small bit of it. Like, he got rid of the necessary pieces, and I'm kind of hoping they still continue to keep PG 13% from the field. I hope they keep him so he'll just be, be all the talk with none of the walk. But then, yeah,
yeah.
that's neither there. That's neither here
So
nor there.
as we now move into the meat and potatoes, we have about a half an hour into this flick. This is
Mhm.
where Anakin meets with Senator Palpatine for the first time. We see here in the scene that we're at right now is Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and Yoda are, I believe, at the Jedi Temple. Again, going back to what I talked about last week with the prequels, and I know that technology had advanced so much since the
Yeah.
1970s and the 1980s, where they had no other choice but to use practical effects. Um, they relied way too heavy on digital arts. I mean, just that scene right there
In the council hall,
in the
like that
council
huge.
hall, it's just so. My green screen is better than the
Yeah,
CGI on that, and all I got is
they don't.
literally a green sheet. I'm using Zoom's virtual backgrounds. I just Lucas did it. I mean,
It does not like CG from the early 2000s to onward. They will
they
never
weren't
age
good.
well. Because of just like how easily technology advances. It's very much the effect of like, could you use an iPhone from 2010? No, not really. It's like sure there's gonna be like some there's gonna be minimalists out there, but like it's very much like, why would I want this, the old iPhone or the old, no, let's say flip phones. There you
Yeah,
go, flip phones. Why would you want an old flip phone when you can check on the internet, you can check on your stocks, your portfolios, you can check on your socials and whatever have you, YouTube, all that stuff, right? Especially to nowadays, unless you are a minimalist. No, like same thing with CGI, same thing with all that stuff. I was trying to watch a Brotherhood of the Wolf the other day. Super underrated movie. Brotherhood of the Wolf was in that field genre where it was during the era of Matrix, right?
yeah.
Really good for its time. It still kind of holds up today, but the CGI is just horrendous.
It's so bad. Uh,
Absolutely horrendous.
so we get to the movie. Take a look at this. It was originally released on May 16th, 2002. In
Mhm.
its American release, it has a runtime of 2 hours and 22 minutes, rated PG. Has a mixed group of reviews. IMDb has it a 6.5 out of 10 out of the users. On Rotten Tomatoes has it about 68% rotten. It, of course, directed by George Lucas, written by George Lucas and Jonathan Hales. Stars Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, um, Christopher Lee, Samuel L. Jackson, Frank Oz, Ian McDermott, just to name a few. And of course, another name that we'll get to as we get closer to the scene, and that is Tamura Morrison, who I know that some people are going to not know who that is, but when we tell you who it is, you'll go, "Oh yeah, that guy!" And spoiler alert, he was going to appear in Mandalorian season 2. I know that much. What his role is, it has been left up to a lot of the skeptics. I think it's pretty obvious who the actor is going to be playing, but
Yeah.
right now the scene we're at is when Anakin is taking Padme on
Oh yeah, the cruiser
the
thingy
cruiser
and
back to Coruscant,
yeah,
not Coruscant. She's leaving Coruscant, going to
Tatooine,
back
Tatooine.
to Naboo.
Oh, Naboo. That's right. Yeah, it's basically that scene is when there is a, here is a, I initially called this, right, the attack of the reactionary storytelling, because it's just a soul stark difference between episode 1 and 2. One, super slow burn. Two, oh, you want action? Well, here's a fight scene with Joe, with a bounty hunter. The
Yeah,
first 10 minutes, right? And it's gonna continue to go on and on. You want more action scenes, more fight scenes? Here you go. Let's just throw it on there, right? We're gonna have all like, it feels like they stopped storytelling and they just caught wind, like they just caught wind of all the negatives that people have said about the last movie, which would suck if he still, it would suck horrendously if it was today's age,
yeah.
where if with social medias and all that stuff, if it was still Lucas on this thing, he would listen to all of that, and then we wouldn't know what kind of Star Wars we would have got today if it was still George Lucas. But hey, like, it just feels like the whole movie was just a reaction to his all the naysayers and all the negative things that was said about episode one, which some of them were very much lauded, which very much were fair, but like it's your story, bro. It's your story. It's your story where it's gonna be a kid gonna ultimately be the biggest bad of your universe.
Well, here's
Tell it the way you want
this.
to tell it.
I always had a problem with this scene for some reason.
Hmm.
It is when Obi-Wan meets with the big kind of four-armed well, he's a diner cook,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
he asks him about the dart, the poison dart, and where it's
yeah.
at. And I don't know why I had a problem with this 50s style diner scene being, because I know we all know George Lucas did
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just completely drew a
Uh,
blank on his
are
on
you
the
are you
name of
talking
the
about
movie.
Return to the no Back to the Future?
No, I'm talking about for his first feature film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow, I am really
Explain
really
me.
bad today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
just
do.
again, it's late.
It's late,
Oh my goodness,
past
George,
bedtime.
it is.
It's yeah.
Oh gosh darn it! I want
I
to
know what you're
scroll all
talking
the way to
about.
the bottom of his IMDb,
I know.
um, which he got credit for way too much stuff. American Graffiti was what I was thinking.
That's right.
American
Yeah,
Graffiti.
yeah.
I know that was based in the 50s, and maybe that's just kind of an homage back to. Wow, he only had 20 director credits.
I
Um,
mean, when you can make most of your money from toys, you
yeah.
don't need to.
Then he started a multi-billion-dollar uh, industry. I mean, really and truly, think about what George Lucas has accomplished in his career
Like,
from his student film at USC with THQ, which
mhm.
um, created,
He-
and people don't realize it. When you go to see the movie, growing up as a kid, you see, and it was that big wind up, and it was the THX.
mhm.
I saying THQ, that's a video game company.
Yeah, it
THX,
is.
and you knew it was going to be a badass movie because it's in super surround sound with THX. And for the longest time, I had no idea until I found out what George Lucas's student film was, which was THX 138. Um, that he created THX. It is a subsidiary of ILM,
Lucas Arts.
which
Yeah.
is Industrial Light and Magic, and of course Industrial Light and Magic, also a subsidiary of Skywalker Sound, or Skywalker Sound is a subsidiary of it. But he created all this: ILM, Skywalker Sound, THX, obviously LucasArts, which was huge video game developer back in the 90s and stuff like that. But
Yeah, 92, early 2000. Yeah, they. I know about
2000,
that.
so 2002, May of 2002, I'm in college. I'm living in Oceanside, California, and
Mhm.
I'm in my gosh darn third year in college, removed
Mhm.
from high school. Um, I try to remember if I went and saw this on opening night. I think I did, and I remember being excited about it because I think I didn't quite have the bad taste in my mouth of Star Wars
Mhm.
yet. I think
Mhm.
I was still too close to it to realize I
Yeah.
thought it was good. I remember going back and watching on, because I think I may have had it on VHS, episode one before going to see. It's what everybody does. You got to see the
Yeah.
movie before to see this one. And I remember again, marketing, great job by Lucas, is they did a music video. It was the only time that John Williams had a music video on TRL,
That's
and
right.
it was the music for um, this particular
Attack of the
movie,
Clones.
which I think is
Yeah.
Across the Stars, is the name
Mhm.
of the movie, or the name of the song. Um, but that's kind of my early um, memories of episode two, Attack of the Clones. I do remember going to see it and was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah.
What are your early members of this movie?
2002. So I was still in high school. I was still in high school at the time. I think I watched it. I watched it when I forget. I think I watched it with family, with like some older cousins of mine. We just went to go watch it one time, right? And this was let me see. When did American Pie come out? I know
Oh
it's a random
God.
question, but like I think it has some coincidence too, because it was during a time where I think one of my cousins went to watch American Pie, and I wanted to go watch it with him, but like, nah, we can't let you.
American Pie was
1990,
in 1999.
99. All right.
So that was
So
right around the time of episode 1.
yeah, episode 1. So it co-trains that because I think yeah, my cousin said like, no, I'll let you, I'll bring you to one of the Star Wars movies, right? And so it was the second one we did, and then I went to watch it with her. It was, I mean, it was just cool to watch it in theaters, and like, we watched it on a late day. I was still very much new coming into it, right?
Yeah.
It was still around that time where like, I didn't, I had a faint idea of Star Wars at that time, right? I kind of just breezed, like I said, like last episode, I kind of breezed through the first three, right? And it wasn't until much later into my high school years, like near the end of my senior year, where I'm like, oh, I got money, I'll just watch everything. So watching episode 2 was like, okay, cool. I freaking Padme, definitely a high school crush for me.
Oh yeah.
I will say, absolutely high school crush for me. And so, yeah, I was indifferent at the time when I first watched it. So it was just cool to see Samuel L. Jackson out there on the big screen. That was the biggest thing for me, just seeing Samuel L. Jackson, because I was still a huge fan of of Pulp Fiction.
Oh great.
I gotta watch Pulp Fiction when I was a little bit, I think like years, like in like 2001 or so, because yeah, I loved it. So I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, hey, you got Samuel Jack on there. So I was more so entertained that Samuel Jack was in the movie than anything else at the time.
I will say, like, I look at these George Lucas has always been a very good, or at least he's hired very good
Cinematography.
uh scout location scouts.
Mm.
Obviously he filmed I think he filmed some of the scenes here in Southern California, but for the most part did a lot of the desert scenes like in Tatooine and Tunisia.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you look at Indiana Jones, what they did with in India and Egypt and stuff like that. But I was just looking at the scene where they're on Naboo, and it's now Anakin and Padme have gone to meet the new queen of Naboo,
Mhm.
and it looks very Venetian. The I don't think it's in Venice, but it has very much, it very easy, it could have been. I just it just has that very Italian Venetian kind of look to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've done a really good job, and it just goes back to what I said. You could have easily done a stronger. I mean, I know that you can't go to space and you can't create a cloud city and stuff like that, but they
Mhm.
could have done a little bit better job on the location scouting and found a practical location for some
Yeah.
of these. And I understand again, uh, uh, budgets and working within the confines of those,
Yeah.
and working at Pinewood Studios and stuff like that. But it just so bugs me the digital effects.
The biggest thing for me about the whole movie is that, especially thinking now, looking back onto it, right, and trying to see the full scope of it, where we basically lost a lot of Anakin's childhood in this conversation, right?
Yeah,
We just basically saw him in the first episode, we saw him as a kid who knew how to ride, and who somehow destroyed a bunch of cruisers in space, right? And then
yeah,
we transition from that to like, all right, cool, time skip. He has a couple years under his belt being a Jedi Padawan, right? Being a Padawan under Obi-Wan's watch, and then he just falls in love again with Padme. And we basically have this it was still during this time where, like, if you're over a 2-hour mark, it was a no, right?
yeah.
Movies, specifically for action movies, right? If you're over 2 hours, specifically in the early 2000s, it's a big no.
What
And
was
so,
the sorry? What was the name of the planet that they're on right now? This is the water planet, very
oh
similar
yeah,
to Bespin. No, not Bespin. What's Cloud
yeah.
City?
It's
Bespin Cloud City.
it's I think. Oh, are you talking about the one where it's Obi-Wan by himself and he goes and
Yes.
he meets Jango Fett
Yes.
out of armor.
This
You meet the
is
Mando out of armor.
this is what is it? Gosh darn, I can never remember what the name of the location is. I'll have to do a little
And
Google research here.
oh, Camino.
Camino, that's it. I knew it
Camino.
started with a K.
Yeah,
Um,
Camino. I'm looking at some of the stuff right now. Yeah.
I'm starting to think of. I'm wondering if James Cameron ripped off the Caminos uh,
Yeah.
for
When
the Avatar for the.
yeah, of course he has. Like when has he? What movie hasn't he ripped off yet?
He is still an amazing creator.
He's a great creator, but at the same time, like he uses old tropes and try to put them in a different planet and think like, oh, this is a new trope. No, it's not, homie. It's just a different planet. But that's a totally different conversation and rant that I will get to eventually.
As we get closer to the scene that JR's talking about, and we will get into that, we will deep dive into the Mandalorian, what we know now. And the thing is when obviously when this movie was made in 2000, came out in 2002 and was made obviously over a 2-year period from 2000 to 2002. So I can remember being at Southwest Church working as an intern and reading during my lunch break and stuff like that online about, oh, episode 2 has gone into production and stuff like that. I will say one of my earliest disappointments from this movie was the name Attack of the Clones, because at this point we had heard so much about the Clone Wars. It was obvious that they were going to name this movie the Clone Wars. Star Wars Episode 2, the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because why call it Attack of the Clones if it's not going to be discussing the Clone Wars? Now, of course, we know now that the actual Clone Wars take place between
Yeah.
the end of Episode 2 and through the beginning of Episode 3 and on through around the well, we'll get to there. But anyways,
yeah, it's it just I just keep on saying, man, it's only the let's wait. Actually, yeah, the movie actually is about 2 hours and something, but like I feel like the same problems with the initial trilogy run is that he had so much stuff working for him. He had so much I guess history and unanswered questions that people wanted to answer within that time constraint. And so like yeah, the running time for this movie is 142 minutes, right? So that's 60, so that's 2 hours and 40 minutes. So that's a long time. But like I feel like this definitely was a 3-hour movie. Could have been a 3-hour movie. Or if there was that point, there could have been a lot of stuff being cut out.
Yeah, and I think too is that we all know that on the heels of the original trilogy, he knows that the second movie, Empire Strikes Back, I believe, was the longer of the 3 movies in the original trilogy, that this was his empire. This was his chance to do Empire again. Looking back at this movie, my goodness, Hayden Christensen, can you come across as any more of a creep? It's the scene where he kisses Padme for the first time.
Oh, dude. I mean, like,
come on, how many times have you not? I mean, as a kid growing up, like how many times have you crushed on your best friend's older sister? I mean, come on, bro.
I mean,
he's basically hitting on his babysitter right now.
Yeah, basically, like it just I don't know, just the whole freaking thing about like they're one the whole relationship right there was super freaking forced upon, and two, like I feel like there should have been some type of leeway where it's easier nowadays, right, to have like that in between, right? The in between of what happens in certain arcs. It's just that, like, specifically for Star Wars, there should have been continual, ongoing stuff between. I'm pretty sure there has been in terms of books, but those were still kind of not canonized, right? I know there were books between episode 1 and 2, and let me try to find them. Actually, I think there were books made between episode 1 and 2. It's just that like there's just so much story that everything just got super convoluted, and then it just it doesn't work because one, Hayden Christian couldn't act at this time frame, and he just came off as super freaking like what's that one Netflix show where it's the stalker being the boyfriend? You, is that what's called? Netflix
I
show
think
called
so.
You.
I think that's what it
Yeah,
is.
like he this stalker makes it to the point where like he is, he is the one to help a girl, as the number one savior, when really he's the one causing all the problems. And that's what just like that's what Hayden Christensen's character, that's what Anakin is right now.
Yeah.
That definitely should have been Darth Vader, but that's like the level of getting to that type of that type of creeper like trajectory, there was no build up in between. That was just like, oh, I'm just a straight creeper.
It comes across that way. It's like they don't explain his infatuation. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand he laid the groundwork by saying, "Oh, are you an angel?" I used to hear the deep space pilots talk about angels, blah blah blah. He's of course insinuating that she's beautiful, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. We're at the part now where Obi-Wan has met the clone army. Of course, we know that the clone army was created by secret. I think it was created secretly by the Senate.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it was the what did they call them? There it was the Sith sympathizers. Is that what they
oh,
were called?
the
Yeah, it was a
separatists, the separatists.
separatist. Yeah,
So the separatists were citing deep were a growing number of people within the Senate
yeah,
were becoming separatists. They wanted to be away from the galactic
that's right.
Senate,
The trade.
and they
Yeah.
wanted to side with Count Dooku,
Hmm.
who we have yet to meet. We will meet, and of course, he was creating the separatist unit, which of course inevitably became the Empire.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
and secretly, the Senate created this grand army of the Republic, which was the
Oh,
clone
yeah.
army. And we will find out here in a moment that they use a bounty hunter in the form of Jango Fett, played by the aforementioned actor who is also going to be returning in The Mandalorian at some point here in season
Yep.
2.
Yep.
But um, again, we see here, I think a lot of a lot of praise should go to the wardrobe department.
Mhm.
I know that
Mhm.
people have said that George Lucas had a lot of firsthand um, input on the wardrobe, but again, the wardrobe department did a great job um, with Natalie Portman. But there's just there's also too. I mean, not to be nitpicky, but there are so many moments here where it's obviously Natalie Portman is not the polished actor she is now, having won the
Yeah.
Academy Award for Black Swan and whatnot.
So many
There's
other
so much
movies.
little like, oh my gosh, dude, like quit.
This is, yeah. I mean, like that's also at the time. That's the problem with getting up and coming new stars. I mean, granted George he hit at the ballpark when he got the original trio.
But even then, Mark Hamill wasn't spectacular. I mean, one of the famous lines from the original trilogy, which we'll get to in a couple of weeks
Mm,
here, was "I want to go into town and get some power." I mean, Mark
yeah,
Hamill, let's face it, Mark Hamill's a
yeah,
whiny little bitch.
yeah.
But
Like he was supposed to be though.
he was
Like
supposed to be.
because there was no, for the time specifically, he was supposed to be this this kid from some out of the boonies nowhere planet, and that was it. The only actor of credible source was Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford was originally supposed to be, and was originally supposed to be Luke, but then he was too good to be Luke. So yeah, Anakin was supposed to be this, doe-eyed, green behind the ears, or what behind the ears, super green, Padawan,
Yeah.
who was supposed to act like a 16-year-old little kid. And it was played to that part, and you see this huge development between 2 and 3 between them, and that was great. We don't see that development in any of these characters, sadly.
So here we go. Our first meeting of the bounty hunter Jango Fett. I obviously have the volume down for obvious reasons. I guess I could put it on closed caption.
Mm.
But at this point, other than the extended universe with the books and whatnot, do we know, had we ever been introduced to Django before? Or was he an actual Mandalorian? I mean, obviously he has a lot of the get up
Ugh,
um,
I can't tell you
of a
honestly.
Mandalorian with the suit and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, Let me turn the I'm gonna have to turn the subtitles on here in a second.
Yeah, I can't tell you specifically. I'm pretty sure he has been a couple other stuff afterwards. It's that his other appearances will have to be before Clone Wars. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was in the TV series, but like his inevitable death. Spoiler alert, guys. In Attack of the Clones was it. Like, and even in that setting too, it was if you know how a lot of people one of their biggest criticisms for the Rise of Skywalker was the I remember moment. Remember the member moments, right?
Oh, at the
Like,
very
oh,
end.
no, like all of it, right? Like, oh, remember this scene, remember this character, remember that character, right? It felt very much like we had a lot of those too in Attack of the Clones, because like, oh, this kid, he's supposed to be Boba Fett, remember? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
he's
I
angry
got you
because of
now.
that. Stuff like that, right? So a lot of it feels very throwaway, and the ideas are there. Oh, you have Boba Fett's father be the genetic marker for all of these clones.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy. But then you have him die within the first 30 minutes.
yeah.
No, not 30 minutes. You have him die within the span of just the one movie, not even the third movie.
Yeah, he doesn't make it out of the second movie. I think that Django would have a little bit. And I know there is talk too that one of the things that they've wanted to do with the Mandalorian is to explore the history of Boba Fett. We do know that there was talks of doing a Boba Fett movie. That was scratched when Solo did not do as well as when Rise of or not Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi didn't do well. Solo didn't do well. That a lot of movies were scrapped. Now Obi-Wan movie is going to be moved to Disney Plus as a miniseries, and I think that the Boba Fett movie is the obvious Mandalorian. With I think John Favreau is doing a great job. He's just killing it with that. So maybe there will be more episodes because the Mandalorian is not referring to just the main character. I'm sure a lot of people would hate to see Pedro Pascal's character of Mando or whatever what his real name is.
His actual name, I forgot
His actual name. But which by the way, this scene is where a lot of people heavily criticized George Lucas, and a lot of fans thanked George Lucas, and we're of course talking about the scene in front of the fire right now. And apparently this outfit, there's many a story told about this outfit, that this was one of the outfits that George Lucas personally created or handpicked.
Take it away. Take it away, my friend. Set the scene. Set the mood.
This is Anakin is he's speaking from the heart. He's talking about his passion, his love for Padme. And Padme is wearing essentially like a black corset with like a neck, this like neckerchief, and it goes right down. But it's like it looks like, if it were not for the headdress, if it were not for the braided hair, if it were not for the neck thing and the necklace, this is an S&M outfit. This is it's a leather. I don't know. Yeah, it's a leather corset. Yeah, you look at it, it's a leather corset.
How old is she at that point, dude?
Well, let's take a look and see what Natalie Portman is. She had to have been maybe 18, barely 18.
Oh my.
Natalie Portman was born in 1981, June of 81. So in 2002,
20 years.
She's of age. She's
of age. But at the same time, you're super sexualizing a character who, timeline wise, should be younger.
Yeah, she's 2002. She's 21.
She's 21. Yeah. But like, I was very like, okay, that's not like any other gown or costume within that freaking world, dude. Like,
I think at the time too, I think that Natalie actually, I could be wrong. I could look up the quote or something like that, but I could have sworn I remember Natalie doing an interview where she actually kind of felt it was empowering to wear something like that because she akined it to Carrie Fisher wearing the famous gold bikini. So this was her iconic moment, but I still think that Natalie Portman's iconic moment is wearing the
white.
the grand dress.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, and the white that's behind you right there.
Yeah. Like
Which
here's the thing. Initially when they're having dinner or whatever they have, right? I'm pretty sure she had more of a dress on. And then the fire scene, the one where they're kind of close and he's trying to seduce her. Like optic wise, not exactly the best thing. I mean, like her chest is pushed up way more than it was in the previous scene.
Yeah.
And that cute, like that neckline that goes straight down. That's basically a scarf.
Yeah.
That goes to nowhere. So,
now, okay, here's a name. There is a Jedi Master. Was it Master Saphridius? And he is the one who allegedly ordered the creation of the clone army the storyline in this movie, really truly, if you read this as a book, if you read the prequel trilogies, if you read the script, these are really good stories. They really do tell. We joked around last week about, oh great, here we are. It's basically what they say, Star Wars Episode 1. It's Star Wars on C-SPAN because we're talking about trade wars and stuff like that.
Yeah,
there really are interesting storylines. I actually kind of enjoyed it. Now we're at the scene where Hayden Christensen's having his nightmares. He's dreaming of the demise of his mother Smee.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that scene.
We'll get to that in just a moment. But really, as I watched this, the story's not bad.
It's not. It's just like it's just there's too much of it where, because you're not solely focused on one thing and trying to do it basically a jack of all trades, you're kind of like spoiling the whole thing now. Not spoiling, but like not spoiling as a sense of like, oh, we're showing you the end. More spoiling more is like it's like just not digestible for a viewer, for a consumer. Like you're just too much information. It's like too much information, but at the same time, not enough information.
Could you imagine? I mean, you take this great story, and it's a given that George is a good writer. He is a good creator. If George were standing in front of either one of us right now, we'd probably wet our pants. I mean, he is the creator. He simply is. That's what he's known in nerd culture as. Mm-hmm. It's one of those, like, if you could go back and change something. I'm not one of those type of things. I don't live life with regrets, stuff like that. But given the same canvas, given the same paint, could a different director have painted a better portrait? Hayden Christensen has proven himself after Star Wars that he's not a bad actor. Natalie Portman, Academy Award winner. She's not a bad actress. Now, of course, here we go. It is Jango in full Mando outfit. So what JR was talking about was the moment where they're in his quarters. He's with his son, who is an unaltered clone, meaning that he will age normally. They're in the living quarters, and of course, that I would imagine under the Mando code, that he could have his mask off and stuff in front of his son. But it was unusual to see not only members of the Camino, but also in front of a Jedi Master, in front of Obi-Wan, he has everything off.
Mhm.
This does explain a whole lot more for those of you who have not seen season 1 of The Mandalorian. You have 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert warning here. We know now that towards the end, that the Mandalorian have a problem with the Jedi. That really and truly, we have spent 9+ movies, setting the bar that the Jedi are the greatest good in the galaxy. And Jon Favreau and his creators spent 8 episodes or 8+ episodes of Mandalorian season 1 making the Mandalorian bounty hunters seem like good guys, and especially Mando, Pedro Pascal's character, a good guy. He saves the child, Baby Yoda, from the Empire. So now you have where in our head we're thinking, well, the Mandalorian are good people. It is the way. But we've been told for 9 movies that the Jedi are the good people. And now we know that really and truly, the Mandalorian really aren't that good of people, and that they think that they are the good people and that the Jedi are the bad people. So it's really interesting, and having know what we know now, having watched season 1 of The Mandalorian, watching that scene and have it make more sense of why Jango Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi don't get along.
Yeah, that's again convoluted storyline. Never really got into it, and it's just again, it just continues this whole axis of like the good thing and the bad thing about having one writer specifically or one sole creator is that everything from it, everything from that creator's perspective, life lessons, experiences will flow into his work. And so this huge, the extreme, so this pinnacle extremes of light and dark, good and bad. Jedi always good,
Yeah,
Sith always bad.
bad.
But to the same time, with a different director, when he looks at that, Jedi extreme control, Sith extreme freedom. Where in like it's always perspectives that come into play in that aspect, and you have Mandalorian specifically from Jon Favreau right in the middle.
Yeah,
It's more so of yes, I'll do whatever, but pay me, right? But at the same time, I have my own set of morals and codes, which I will enact upon whenever I feel like it. And if you strip that away, right? If you strip that to the most basic sense, we're all that,
yeah,
right? We're basically all that. We all have a pay limit, but we have our own. We all have a pay scale, but we all have our own morals and guidelines that we will always adhere to. And so the biggest thing about Star Wars specifically when it came from George Lucas is that people tend to forget that it's just one writer. And
yeah,
when you have another writer coming in specifically to expand on that universe and on the integral ideas of what is truly Jedi and what is truly Sith, specifically in my opinion, the Jedi here that for me, right, I've made known about this before. The Jedi, and I want to expound it after we're done with all this. The Jedi within the first trilogy, right, or actually, let's not trilogy, but more so the first two, and beginning and halfway through three, were actually not the probably not the most corrupt, but the most like the most absolutist, like the paladins of the nation. It's their go or no go, right? Oh, you're harboring cis. Well, we're gonna burn down your village and kill you. It happened. Oh, you follow separatists. Oh, then we're gonna kill you because we're the good guys. It's the exact same ideologies of the Republic in the original trilogies. It's that it's just a different ongoing course of like, okay, whoever's winning is in the right basically at
yeah.
that moment in time. It just more so when the original trilogy came out, it was definitely the underdog story and everyone loved underdog stories.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
We
And
got.
so
I really liked. I don't know why, from a collector standpoint
mm,
and vehicle, whatever. I liked Obi-Wan's I don't know what they called it. I call it the Jedi A wing, so to speak. It's
Oh
not the
yeah,
traditional A
yeah,
wing. Um,
yeah.
with the circle booster.
Yeah, man. Those
They're
are
good.
like the I gotta say the first the prequels had some crazy concept ideas for like space travel when
And
they had
they did bring back, of course, Boba Fett's vehicle, which made a lot of fans happy.
Mhm.
So we are at the point where Jango Fett and Obi-Wan are
They gonna
battling.
fight.
Uh,
But I'm gonna die. You gonna die soon.
so we're just about the halfway point of the movie.
Yeah.
About a minute, about an hour and 15 to go. We still, obviously, a lot of that is still the end credits and whatnot. But
I don't know if you could go the full hour, 2 hours and some minutes,
well,
but I don't
we'll
yeah.
find a way
We'll see how it
to
goes.
get it done. Um, I will say that as we kind of go along, yeah, it was one of those, you remember, moments. I did pop kind of hard for Jango and Boba Fett, but
Absolutely.
I I was kind of curious. Okay, where's this kid? How's this kid gonna go? And we'll get to the moment in the movie when we do um, the moment where where Boba is holding the helmet and he kind of holds it to his head. Some people are like kind of creeped out by it because okay, it's his dad's dead head. Spoiler alert: Django gets decapitated later in the movie,
Mhm.
but it is kind of an iconic scene. But I really hope that again, seeing this right here, and obviously it's Jango Fett was hired by the Separatist, being a bounty hunter,
Mhm.
being a part of the guild that we know now,
Mhm.
or is he? That he is hired by the Separatists to destroy the Jedi and to create a rift in the Galactic Senate and whatnot.
Mhm.
I'd be kind of curious is if they'll ever address in future episodes or future seasons of the Mandalorian. Maybe they will in this season. Just where did the rift begin between the Jedi and the
Center
Mandalorian? So
of the Mandalorians. Yeah. I mean, we could definitely see. I will actually kind of want to expand that, like the rift between the Jedi's and the Senate, where it was known since the first movie,
yeah,
where the Jedi was seen as the police force
yeah,
for everyone. And when you look at when you're looked upon as the police force, specifically in a time frame where you're supposed to be the good guys, like corruption is always going to be there, and like there's the knowledge of the force in this. The thing that irritates me the most about this specific series is that they really never really they never really full-fledged went out and say what is the force, other than saying that they're mitochondrions, and like there are these things that she could that's life force that's everywhere, and they never really gave any full definitive like definition of what the force is.
yeah.
And it's like it's a religion, but not really, because it's all around you. And it's the storylines that were brought up in the first episode was kind of just cut and dry and gone during the second episode. It was a better storyline when we still had Qui-Gon Jinn around. It was a better storyline where you see the introduction of the mentor disciple the mentor disciple relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. But here's the freaking thing: Obi-Wan and Anakin aren't like a majority of the movie. They're not with each other.
No,
That irritates me. How are you supposed to establish a master disciple relationship when they're barely like in like what 30 minutes of
it's
screen time together?
it's been at least, I'd say we're at the 1 hour and 11 minute mark. This is when Anakin and Padme stumble upon
Yeah.
the Baru encampment, and you get to meet a nearly completed C-3PO. He's got his armor now.
Yeah.
It's a little rusty, but this
Mhm.
is where we get to meet Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru,
Yeah.
or whatever. Anyways, this is where you get to see it for the first time. Master Owen. That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
You get to. This is the first time you get to see
His
the
that's
encampment
his
where Luke
yeah, stepbrother.
Skywalker. Yeah, Owen
Yeah.
Lars. This is my girlfriend Beru.
Uh-huh.
So this is the first time we get to come back to um, where it all began, where Luke um, uh, stares off into the binary sunset and whatnot. So,
Mhm.
and of course, there's Shmi's husband, Lars.
I
So
mean,
I actually kind of like this part. It was something that I didn't see coming, an opportunity to meet um, Ben and no, it wasn't Ben. It's Baru, and I can't remember what. Yeah, Uncle Ben,
Owen? Owen?
Owen,
You talking?
Uncle Owen.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I keep saying Ben? It's Ben Kenobi's
You ta- yeah, you're probably thinking
Ben
of
Skywalker.
Uncle or
Uncle
Uncle
Ben,
Ben
Uncle Ben. Yeah,
from Spider-Man. So
Spider-Man. It's
yeah, it's
uh,
just it's yeah, acting could have definitely been a good contributor in making the next couple of scenes that you will see somewhat tolerable. And specifically from Hayden Christensen, where he's supposed to be going through this tumultuous journey of trying to figure out who he is, growing up an orphan into a Padawan, into full flung head over heels for this girl that he helped save, and then having a master slash big brother in Obi-Wan, and everything was basically off screen when their relationship's right. Like you have this one snarky comment here or there when the two of them were in the first 15 minutes, and then out of nowhere they just dispersed because the huge fight scene in the beginning of the movie where you had Jango Fett come. Like it's like you're supposed to be establishing the main relationship. Yes, Padme's supposed to be there, but the main relationship between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, that's supposed to be established first.
yeah.
You don't have that for 30 minutes. You have a quick throwaway line where Obi-Wan jumps into a speeder, right? And makes some comment about his driving. And then you don't see both of them together until literally the last 20 minutes of the movie, 20-30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, with the big battle scene.
The big battle scene with everybody, and then the fight with Count Dooku.
So obviously at this point we're seeing Hayden Christensen riding up on a speeder bike going to find Smee. This uh, he looks just so awkward. The facial expressions. He does of course run into Tusken Raiders who have his mother. She's half dead. She's been living out in
Oh,
out in the desert.
Anakin, I'm so glad you're here for this moment where I'm gonna die right now. Ugh.
So yeah, it's a heartbreaking moment.
Mm.
It's a
I
little
mean,
rough. But I think you
yeah.
did need it because of course you have the great line from the first movie spoken by Yoda. I've
Mhm,
actually used this line on my kids is I sense much fear in you. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
mhm,
And I think that they needed that moment where, I mean, come on, let's face it, if your mother dies in your arms, God forbid,
mhm.
um, that it, especially in those circumstances, how would that affect you? So I think that they needed that moment.
That
Maybe it was
of
handled a
levity.
little awkwardly.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess. But like,
and now we
it's
see, sorry, we see Obi-Wan having stumbled upon a new droid army. Um, and of course, for a bit of foreshadowing when he flies over the this area where the Separatists and now Count Dooku are at this other planet with the Viceroy and whatnot. Um, you see those battleships, these Federation battleships, and they're spherical. And of course, little foreshadowing. We know down the line, the Separatists are in a possession of a great battle plan to create a ultimate an ultimate base, an ultimate weapon of the galaxy, and that being the Death Star. And of course, would create other spin-offs. We got Ian McDermott. Oh no, is that his name? Yeah.
Ian McDermott,
Yeah, great actor. Yeah. I enjoyed him.
He was Ian McDermott, if I remember correctly, he was didn't he play Dr. Manhattan? Was it him or was it someone else?
That is a great question. Let's pull up his IMDb here. I just happen to have Supreme Chancellor. Oh, that's Ian McDermott. I'm thinking that's Chancellor Palpatine. I apologize. I'm thinking of Christopher Lee, Count Dooku, and Darth Tyrannus. Going back to Ian McDermott. Sorry, I read the wrong. You were saying who did you think he played?
Oh yeah, Ian McDermott. I'm thinking that there's another McDermott who's in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the guy who played Dr. Manhattan, because I saw the guy's name in here. I'm thinking about there's a McDermott that's in here. I just breezed by his name. Forget though.
Looking back, I mean, you have Christopher Lee, who's a fantastic actor. Obviously, he would go on to be Saruman the White in the Lord of the Rings movies. Just to name a few. Looking at the rest of the.
Totally, I'm completely off freaking base.
It's all good.
Off base. 1 second. I gotta find out Dr. Manhattan now.
He was in Police Academy. That's funny. But obviously he's gone on to do a lot of great things in pop culture. Talking about Christopher Lee, he has not made his way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's not played a superhero yet, has he? Who? No, he is not. No, talking about Christopher Lee, the guy who plays Count Dooku.
Billy Crudup. I'm totally off base. Billy Crudup played Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Billy Crudup.
Oh, Billy Crudup is great in Almost Famous. Okay, so here we go. Hayden Christensen has found his mother. She's dying in his arms. This is where he will snap and lose his temper, and of course,
and kill everybody.
And
I'm thinking of Dylan McDermott, not Ian McDermott. That's why I'm thinking of Dylan McDermott.
I really think that this is such a pivotal scene because the moment this really could be the moment without him knowing it.
Became Darth Vader.
Some will say it was his meeting killed the younglings. It could be his meeting with Senator Palpatine with Darth Sidious,
where he fried freaking Samuel Jack through a window.
Well, no, I'm talking about just the initial meeting where it clicks in his brain, and he goes where Darth Sidious with Ian McDermott mentions that I can teach you powers that some may say is uncivilized, which we'll get to in episode 3.
Yeah.
But what did you think too? As I see him here for the umpteenth millionth time, there's a Mace Windu. What was your take on Yoda?
Yoda?
We had Yoda. We had Yoda as a Muppet in Empire Strikes Back and in Return of the Jedi. Here he is a fully CGI'd. Why couldn't they have just done a Muppet and gone to a practical effect?
I mean, again, looking back on it, when I was younger, I was okay with the CGI because, like, I think at that point in time, that was still kind of very much like my first foray, right, into I guess, serious viewings of Star Wars. It wasn't until, after, further viewing again of, the original trilogy, you're like, okay, cool, maybe it would have been better if Yoda was a Muppet. I was fine with it. Like, I understand why they did it. They had the money, they had the budget to do Yoda, right? Specifically considering the fact that, that, okay, cool, Yoda's gonna be jumping and flipping and doing all the things that he was against.
I loved that scene when I saw this movie the first time. I popped hard for that.
I mean, it
Uh,
was cool to
but
see, but like when you have his ideals just totally be combated. But okay, we get to the end of the movie. We'll say that, all right, cool. Yoda could have probably went to that proclamation after, because it was after the fact, right?
yeah,
And he could take this sworn oath of like, oh, I'm not gonna attack you because it's against my ideals. I get that. But seeing at the time, cool, awesome, right?
going
Yeah,
back, it's funny. You going back to your talk there about um Anakin and Obi-Wan only spend a minimal amount of time in this movie. Now, of course, the Padawan is learning from the master, but he's probably in this movie he's meant to be 18, 19 years old. So, when we leave Anakin as a small child after the death of Qui-Gon, um he's what, meant to be between about 10 years old. So we know
yeah,
an
yeah,
entire lifetime has
yeah,
passed away, has passed on to be trained. But yeah, here's a pivotal moment in his training of a Jedi. You're right. He does. He's missing. His master is training
yeah,
is missing. But
yeah,
I did like this moment. There was a moment where Obi-Wan is, oh, look, some blue milk. Um, where Obi-Wan is kind of pissed at Anakin because he's trying to send him a message, and he goes from with his R4, his R unit, and R4 says, Anakin is on Tatooine. He goes, what is that? I told him to stay on Naboo.
why?
So it
Yeah,
is that moment where it's like, God, that child, And so
yeah,
it goes back. So it's not like he's completely like forgotten about him. So there is that
no.
moment where he's still teaching him, going like, that stupid kid. I could just strangle him.
It's just very much, it's way more necessary, and they should have George should have really focused on this relationship, because one, it would have finally made relevancy of like, okay, there is a closest to them, but it never should have been master and disciple. It always should have been Qui-Gon Jinn as the actual master for all of them, and it should have been somewhat of a sibling rivalry slash like big brother younger brother type of thing between Obi-Wan and Anakin. That's how it always should have been,
Should
because
have
we
been,
saw
yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn as that, full on, he's supposed to be about Tai Chi, he's supposed to be about Eastern culture, not he's supposed to epitomize Eastern culture and of good ebb and flow, and he's able to, you know prioritize the development of a young child who is technically an orphan,
Yeah.
right? And look at him and bring him up. And the biggest thing that failed to me in the relationship is that they did not fully expose that Obi-Wan is a failure as a master to Anakin. They never really show that. He was absent. Okay, cool, but then that doesn't necessarily show you why he was a failure. It could have been certain things that they could have pushed into it. Okay, so there were certain things that he said that shouldn't done. He didn't comfort Anakin right when his mother passed away, and when freaking Anakin goes to Padme saying, "I killed them, even the women and the children." I'm
Right
like,
there. And
uh,
he punctuates it right there in a pivotal line where he goes, I hate
um,
them. I hate them.
yeah, like so, it, like if Obi-Wan, if there was a somewhat throwaway line of like, Padme or someone's telling Obi-Wan, oh yeah, his mom died and he killed every Tusken Raider, even the women and children. I would have been okay with Obi-Wan coming down there, storming in there, and beating the crap out of him, or saying some type of stuff
Red flag,
to make
red flag. Yeah.
basically to make him push him further into the dark. And that would have been every transition to this point going to the dark side better, because the pervasion of uh Anakin going to the dark side was somewhat here in this film, but it just got ramped up to like 10 in the last like 30 minutes of the last movie in the trilogy, like out of nowhere. I mean, granted, yeah, okay, when in the we'll get to it in the next podcast, within the first couple of minutes when they're finally fighting against Dooku. In the first scene, yeah, we see it
Oh,
there, but
in
like
episode 3.
in episode 3, it
Yeah.
was there, but like it wasn't fully ramped up until literally the last 30 minutes of that movie again. And so like there're just so many things detail wise that could have been sprinkled in. Like his master is nowhere to be seen when he decimates a whole freaking tribe of
It's
women
like,
and children.
yeah, it should be like oh gosh darn it, I can't think of it what it's called.
Red
Like an
flag.
accountability partner. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
like
you need to go to a meeting, bro.
I mean, like you have this, we depict him as this child, basically, right? This young adult who is fawning over this girl who's basically should be a babysitter, right? And she says nothing, absolutely nothing to Obi-Wan. Granted, that might be her character flaw, right, in the overarching development, right, of the failures of Padme and Anakin, but okay, you like they weren't helping your ass out from not getting killed to begin with. Like you couldn't tell them what's up. You couldn't tell Obi-Wan what's up after he's literally trying to figure out this huge conspiracy about why they should kill you. Like you got the man doing full on work. You can't give him some updates from his his dumbass Padawan who has a hard on for you and who is willing to basically kill women and children because they hurt the people he loves. Okay.
Speaking of that phrase you just used, we now see Padme wearing the white outfit there.
So they're
Geonosis, that
there.
was that one there, but not showing the abs yet.
Nah.
Geonosis is what I was thinking of. That is the planet location of the future, the round 2 droid army, and of course, what the Jedi think is just the viceroy. They do not know that it's a lot. This group goes a lot deeper, and of course, this is the future galactic empire. This is the baby steps of the evil empire, and of course we'll find out later who is the true puppet master of all of this. So we are on the home stretch now, as Anakin and Padme have done a full circle of the galaxy. They've gone from Coruscant to Naboo, from Naboo to Tatooine. They are now heading to Geonosis. There we get to see was it not Mark Spitz? That's the swimmer. What's the actor? Jimmy Smits. Senator Bail Organa, and of course, watching this movie, I'm sitting there going, Organa. Why do I know that name? I was really truly lost when I saw this for the first time, seeing Jimmy Smits's character. And of course, for those who don't know, Organa, that Senator Organa, inevitably is the King Organa of oh my gosh, now you just completely drew a blank to the name of his home planet. The one that gets blown up in episode 4. Of course, Organa, that is the adopted father, planet of
the home planet of technically a planet of I forgot her freaking name now.
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia, yeah, Leia Organa.
Well, here we go. Christopher Lee's Count Dooku now meets Obi-Wan for the first time. But I'm
forgetting names, dude. I'm just mad. I'm just mad at this whole freaking thing of like just what could have been this huge,
I know that watching this movie again frustrates me because we have trashed on it for so many years.
It could have been great.
It could have been so great because the story's good there.
Yeah, it was just so much intrigue. There was so much like, yeah, espionage. There was so much thing going behind the scenes, and this somewhat horrid budding love between a kid who was supposed to be about 15, 16 years old with a girl who was about 26, 27.
Yeah.
And and then this whole and the relationship that should have been really showcased was the relationship between Obi-Wan and his failures of being a mentor and master to Anakin, and Anakin being a dumbass kid who can't keep his hormones in check. This is all basically him going through freaking puberty. It
Oh
really
yeah.
is.
It really
It
is.
it really is. It's just
I mean,
like,
come on,
oh,
let's face
I
it. You
want
had
my
Natalie Portman
like,
as your
yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah,
would be going through
a
puberty
lot
pretty
of
strong.
raging hormones, all that stuff. But yeah, and also just go back on your Jimmy Smits. I've always disliked him because he because he was in a I don't dislike the actor, but I dislike a certain character that he played in Star Trek. He was in Star Trek uh was this him? He was
You're
in Star Trek. I am. Yeah, he's
you're
not in Star Trek.
so
I'm oh he reminds you of if you remember Star Trek with Seven of Nine.
um Deep
It
Space
is
Nine.
Deep Space Nine, yeah. No, no, not Deep Space Nine. Is it Deep Space Nine? It's with
Uh,
Seven of a character. This character named Seven of Nine.
oh, seven. I'm sorry. I was thinking. I was
Yeah,
thinking when you were trying to. I think you were trying to say Deep Space
Deep,
Nine.
yeah, Deep Space Nine is the one where they're like in a certain like hub space, right?
Yeah,
In
it's the
space,
TV
yeah,
show that came after Next
yeah.
Generation.
It's that one, Next Generation. No, no,
Well, let's look it up. I have it right here in front of me.
yeah, I think it's
Jimmy's
Next Generation. It's not Jimmy Smits. It's not Jimmy Smits. It's another character, but he looks like Jimmy Smits.
once
And
again. You're getting people confused
dude,
with.
I am everywhere tonight, bro. I don't know what's going on. Okay. It's from Jerry Ryan is the actress.
Ooh,
I'm Jerry Ryan. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about raging hormones for me when I was a kid?
yeah,
Seeing Jerry Ryan. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop right there. Stop right there. We are a PG rated show. Sometimes
PG-13.
PG-13, I guess, but same time. But she was in Star Trek. Voyager. Star Trek Voyager, right?
Oh,
And
okay,
she
gotcha.
and in Voyager, she ends up with a character with the character of the show. Let me see. He was one of the notable cast.
Oh man. Now this is the beginning of the end of the democracy in the Republic the um, as
So I get some sleep.
the senator from Naboo,
Huh.
Jar Jar Binks,
Huh.
votes, uh,
Oh
gives a vote of
God.
no confidence and gives Supreme Chancellor Palpatine
Yeah.
extreme power.
Yes.
Um,
This is where all the
this is
he's a
where it
Sith
all.
Lord. He's
This
a
is where
Sith Lord. Rumors come from.
it is done,
Yeah.
as Mace Windu says. I think they both knew, like maybe this was a poor idea.
Mm.
So they'll go to Master Yoda will go to Camino. When Mace Windu will gather up the Jedi Knights and head to Geonosis to fight
Mm.
the growing droid army. And of course, now we're just going to get a bunch of bullshit going to
Yeah.
the factory. It's just
Oh
God,
God.
it's
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Okay. So just slight.
Completely unnecessary scenes.
Okay, so slight off topic before you for that one. I was going with Star Trek, and the guy I was thinking of was played Chakotay, right? By Robert Beltran, who looks nothing like Jimmy Smith.
Where are you going with some of this stuff, JR?
I'm just
Punch
doing.
drunk.
I'm going anywhere that doesn't make me focus on this freaking movie that's pissed me off for the last hour and a half now. That's not pissed. Okay,
And you're not even
frustrating.
watching it. I'm watching it.
I don't want to watch it. I watched it like a couple of days ago. I mean, I could log in. I could log into my Disney Plus account right now. I could, but like just
Okay.
hearing it from you right now, I'm like, it just sparked up the memory. It's like, oh, that's why I'm pissed off at this certain scene. That's why I'm pissed off at that certain scene. That's why this freaking thing doesn't make sense. Why is she in that? I'm not complaining in a bad way, but I'm just saying,
Yeah. We will inevitably get to the end fight scene, where they're all tied up on the big bars and they have to escape and stuff like that.
Yeah, they fight.
But
We finally see a full on what's the monster we saw? Because that was the first time we see the monster, right?
yeah,
In full live animation. I forgot what it's called.
yeah, I can't think of what it's called either.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let's go back to 2000 to 2002.
Okay.
This movie is in production.
Mhm.
And what is absolutely massive at that point in pop culture, and that is music.
Mhm.
Most specifically, pop music is just blowing up. Now, this was let's go back to production of this movie and the rumor, and the video has never seen the light of day. At least I've never seen. And this was one of the reasons why I could not wait for the episode 2 DVD to come out,
Mm.
because bonus features, was the rumor that all 5 members of the boy pop band known as NSYNC
Mhm.
filmed a scene and they played Jedi Masters. JC,
That's
Justin
right.
Timberlake,
That's
Lance
right.
Lance Bass, what's the other two?
Uh,
Chris Kirkpatrick, and
yeah.
the "We're gonna kill you, Opa." I can't think of that guy's name now. Joey Fatone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That the 5 of them filmed kind of a background scene. They were not at the forefront by any stretch of the imagination, and they were playing Jedi in the forthcoming scene where Mace Windu brings the Jedi Knights to the battle on Geonosis in the precursor to the Clone War.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, did you ever hear about that when you were a kid? Did you ever hear anything about the NSYNC scene?
I did, and because TRL was still a thing at that time.
Oh, it was massive. Like I said before, at the top of the broadcast was that
Yeah, TRL was TRL was
the Across the Stars music video
Yep.
made its debut on TRL.
Yeah, TRL. Carson Daly, he's from here. He graduated from COD here, so he's an alumni here. So cool. But yeah, I remember. I think an interview or like some bits and pieces of that scene specifically, either in TRL or one of the MTV Music Award or one of the one of the movie awards from MTV, like a little bits and pieces of it, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was just like okay, just throwaway thing. I never really paid attention to it, right? Because like to be honest with you, at the time I was a big Backstreet Boys fan, so I didn't really care for anything NSYNC. There you go. Now you know. Now you know.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up. Yeah, so it is an urban legend, and it is true. Looked it up. Did NSYNC film cameos as Jedi Knights in Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. Here's the latest in series of NSYNC filmed appearances as Jedi Knights in Star Wars. It was yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That yeah, they both, or all 5 of them filmed a scene.
Deleted scenes.
It does not say it's a deleted scene. They do not, and I know there's some videos that kind of pop up, or some pictures that pop up on Google Images,
Mhm.
but nothing authentic.
Oh man, yeah.
But
Yeah, I just
this is something that they have done. I mean, they did it a lot in the new movies.
yeah, I guess. Like, but the new movies are taking different adherences to it. Where like the just thinking about it now, specifically that you had George Lucas, the head of this thing, just having like for me, and I know this is a freaking stupid ass buzz term that used nowadays. It's for me having George Lucas come to the drawing table and say, "Hey, really get for the young kids to be involved in Star Wars, get the NSYNC guys to come and be Jedi Masters." Yeah, I'm like, To me, dude, that's super cringe. Honestly, to have some older exec come on, it might have been genius at the time, but like now looking back at it, like you had to have NSYNC, one of the biggest bands, yes, but at the same
Well,
time.
here it is. I didn't find the scene, but this is the reason why. It says NSYNC were offered cameo roles in Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones because George Lucas's daughter wanted to meet them. Their scenes were cut from the movie. So there is a possibility. Excerpt from the interview makes me really want to see the scenes of Chazzy Shadow waving the lightsaber around with like an idiot. We all have the Jedi garb, the brown and tan robes, explained Stephen. So yeah, so there. Sorry, I was just reading just an expert from the internet. So that I just remember that was a rumor, urban legend that that instinct.
I swear they made fun of that during an MTV Movie Awards, right?
They did. I think they did it. There was an SNL skit too, where they made fun of it, where they're all doing like bye, but in Jedi robes and making fun of it.
Yeah, I know that. I just remind me because like when we inevitably get to episode 3, Jimmy Fallon, when he hosted the MTV Awards, movie awards, right?
Yeah.
One day he did the whole thing where like he became Anakin Skywalker and he jumped through the scene, flippy, spinny, 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 and he lands in lava. I laughed my ass off.
Oh my goodness!
I laughed.
By the way, I will say this: that the white outfit could be the best thing that Padme has ever worn. This actually, it's so simple. I think it's actually a better outfit than the golden bikini.
Oh man, I mean, I liked, like, it's sad considering the fact that the Padme we see here in the next couple of scenes will probably be the most action she'll ever have in any of the movies now, which is sad because she's there as a character in the third movie, but then she's definitely a far off side character to be put away in a shelf somewhere and to be protected inevitably by Anakin. But like, it just said to me that this is it. You'll never see her being a badass. You'll never see her, holding a blaster, taming that freaking tiger or whatever. You'll never see her do any of that stuff anymore, which would have been cool to see specifically in episode 3. Rather than, spoiler alert, rather than seeing her die, and we'll get to this, rather than see her getting chokehold by a jealousy infused Anakin, and that's it. And so, if this right here, and my hands are pointing to Natalie Portman's getup, is the most we'll ever freaking see her, and like she's basically just a sex icon at that point, then that's just a waste of a character that gave birth to possibly 2 of the greatest Jedi and greatest characters in the Star Wars universe.
And it is insinuated, obviously, that you have Anakin Skywalker, who is one of the greatest Jedi. Obviously, ended up becoming a Sith Lord, but and then you have Queen Amidala or Padme, who, like you said, I think it would have made more sense. And I think it goes along the lines of what we said in last week's episode, talking about episode 1, is that for when Luke met Obi-Wan, he goes, "Yeah, I know your father. He was a great star pilot." And yada yada yada. It was just, granted, in 1977, it was a throwaway line because they hadn't done the prequels yet. And then of course we see young Anakin, who has met Obi-Wan, and the extent of his. By the way, looking back at this scene with the different animals, this is a Pokemon. This is like if Pokemon were written by Wes Craven.
It was 2000. So that was I think Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean these look like Pokemon. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but going back is like you have Mark Hamill. You have Luke Skywalker, who thinks his father was this great star pilot, which He was, but they don't flush out the details.
Mhm.
And there's like I said, I'll get to him on Wednesday. Like you said too, is you have Natalie Portman, who is the mother of two of the greatest characters in sci-fi, if not at least in the Star Wars saga, but if not in sci-fi, being Luke Skywalker and Princess
Yeah,
Leia. And of
easily.
course, you even have Leia, who says in Return of the Jedi, she goes, "What do you remember as a child?" Because I remember my mother; she was beautiful. Blah blah blah. She could have very easily been remembering her mother on
Holodecks, and all that stuff,
oh
right?
my god, why am I still forgetting that stupid planet? Um,
Naboo, right?
no,
Or
no, no. Where the Organas are from.
oh yeah. I
Um,
forgot the planet's name too.
uh,
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just there, just say there. But it's
anyways,
just
yeah,
like
that planet. We're two totally terrible Star Wars nerds. She could have easily the line that she says Return of the Jedi. She could have easily been thinking about her mother being Lady Organa from
mhm.
that
Yeah,
planet.
possibly. Yeah, but
But
just think of this though, like in character development when it comes to Padme. When you first see you are dressed in this amazing garb. You are seen as a queen of a planet under so much intrigue, under so much political espionage. You uncover a lot of things. You fight and combat against fight and combat against an army that's during a civil war, as well as a Sith Lord being there on the planet. You help to fight and overturn that. Second movie, you're demoted to a senator, right?
yeah,
You lead up a council. You are then kind of basically now are like some not a spy, but it feels like she was very much like a in that spy type of thing where like they're trying to run away from an assassin, right?
yeah,
You hop planets, you fall in love, I guess. And then the third movie, you're nowhere.
yeah. They never gave her an opportunity to truly be a badass. I mean, she's kind of a badass in this
you,
scene, but
the best thing of that movie that you did was give birth.
yeah, you broke my
After
heart, Anakin.
kill
Um,
all the children again.
While we kind of wrap things up here, we're down another home stretch. About 30 minutes left to go in this movie.
Create me now, please.
While we're recording this, obviously it is on a Monday. So we have new release Wednesdays just a couple of days away. But we would be remiss if we did not go back in time to do a little flex pool as we get down to the nitty gritty of this movie. We'll wrap our talk of Star Wars up
Yeah.
as this movie ends because it does have
Yeah.
one of the best scenes in the Star Wars trilogy or the Star Wars saga coming up with Count Dooku and Master Yoda.
What do you think of Count Dooku, actually? What do you think of Count Dooku?
I like Count Dooku as a character. I wish that we could, again, I wish we could get to know more of his backstory. What was he like as a Jedi? What made him truly so? I don't know if I like or dislike this scene right here.
What scene is it? Tell me.
The party's over.
Oh God.
Just the party's over.
Yeah.
It is such a Sam Jackson line, but it does not fit in Star Wars. And here comes all the Jedi who, by the way, some people say that some of these characters have come to make their more grander appearance in Clone Wars and Rebels. More specifically, who I believe that is
that's not Obi-Wan. That's not Anakin's Padawan. Definitely not. But then I remember her. I think I remember her in a couple episodes or so. She was cool.
That's not Oksana. No,
that's not Oksana. No.
No, anyway, there's a character that's supposed to be making their appearance in Mandalorian and being played by Rosario Dawson. So
yeah. But to Count Dooku though, here's the thing that's going to irritate me the most when we get into episode 3. The Clone Wars animated series happened during that time frame.
Yeah.
And the amount of buildup to Count Dooku and to General Grievous within the Clone Wars saga, within the Clone Wars animated series, that takes place 2 seasons, that does 2 seasons worth of heavy episodes. They won awards.
Yeah.
They won awards for everything. For I think one for amazing animation, but like just one, storytelling is amazing. The action scenes are freaking phenomenal. Specifically, the ones I'm talking about, where where Count Dooku trained General Grievous, and to have Count Dooku as a character, great, good, cool. We can see that it's a differing opinion, and there was a lot there was a lot to be said of where his character should have went to and should have gone to in the next in the next episode or so. But how he was portrayed in the Clone Wars animated series, good God.
I need to watch this one. It's the one Star Wars property I have never seen, and that is the Clone Wars and Rebels. I know of it.
Do it, bro, dude. Like, they give credence to like to a lot of the Clone Wars, to a lot of the clones there,
Yeah,
and how they build a relationship with basically the Jedis they are with, and then you have, and then like just the extended universe in general, right? It's supposed to fill in the holes that the movies blatantly leave open, right? And Count Dooku and General Grievous are the biggest badasses that got the most horrendous disservices to in the whole series.
Yeah,
and like it's sad. It really is sad, because you see the amount of pride and confidence and just know-how and wit from Count Dooku within the series of Clone Wars, as well as General Grievous. Like, General Grievous in the animated series does not spin his freaking arms around like propellers. He fights pretty freaking amazingly.
and yeah, like, people love it.
Do me a favor right now. I want you to react to this right now. Go to YouTube. Okay. YouTube, Clone Wars, Count Dooku versus General Grievous. That's still, to this day, is one of my favorite freaking action scenes.
Let's see if I can find it here. Now, of course, we're not going to be able to put it up.
Don't know.
Count Dooku. Oops.
Versus Grievous. Animated series. And then, and I'm going to react it with you right now, right? Okay. And then it's I got the very first one, right? The very first one.
Count Dooku training General Grievous full scene.
Yeah. Okay, ready? On your mark.
Oh, I already started it. Sorry.
It's fine.
Interesting. And of course, it's Christopher Lee doing the voice of Count Dooku, even in the animated series here. So yeah, Grievous. Oh, he does have. Okay, does he have 4 arms?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Interesting. I do like the animation style.
For the time, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was very much in that same sphere of Samurai Jack, right?
Yes.
Because this is like literally during the golden age of Cartoon Network, where they had these amazing freaking shows that won awards that won Emmys, like, out of nowhere. And then for some dumbass reason, they just canceled everything. Like, they did original Teen Titans, the Teen Titans series, right? They had, like, I think Puffy Amumi, whatever, right? They did that anime-ish like opening. That won awards. And then for some dumbass reason, they just like, oh, let's just cancel everything.
Oh, is this Darth? That's not Darth Maul, is it?
Oh,
no, that's Sidious.
Sidious, yeah. It's I'm telling you, bro, like the writing and the tone, even though it looks super cartoony, it's super stylized, of course, right?
But no, I like it. I do need, like I said, it's the only property I've never watched.
It fills in so many holes, and it makes you care about certain general or certain captain characters that are clones, basically.
Here comes the clone army, led by General Yoda.
which funny enough, I don't know how the hell they got wind of this so fast to go from that planet to this planet. But then hey, action movie, whatever.
Yeah, it's action movie logic.
Deus Ex
So
Machina.
while that is going on, I'll do my little flex pull here.
Go ahead, bro.
Once again, just DC killing it with the Wonder Woman covers, giving Joshua Middleton another canvas to work on. Beautiful cover of Diana. Middleton just I don't know.
Did you pick up the dark the Justice League Dark cover too?
No, I did not.
That might be my cover of the week. I don't know where my poll is this week. I think I put it in one of my long boxes already. So
what do we got here? Is this it's not a Derek Chew. But it's a great cover. It is the final issue of Batgirl, issue number 50.
Yeah. No, that's the Germ.
Is that art? Doesn't look like an art. Well, there's no signature.
Let me see. That should be the Germ.
I don't think so, bro.
Let me check.
There is no art.
No, that might be. I don't know if that's Middleton either.
That might be Middleton.
That might be Middleton. Yeah.
Which, of course, he did a great job on Batgirl.
There should be a bunch of covers for it, but there should have been like 50 or so covers for it, man. But then only those ones came out. It's weird.
I'm a little behind on this one. I picked it up because I really enjoyed the Who series. And for those of you who are Marvel fans, highly recommend it. It's very good. It's different. And that was the Runaways. Runaways issue number 32. Yeah. It took a little. I got to catch up. I got to play catch up on it.
It is a Middleton cover. It is a Middleton cover.
So the Batgirl cover is Middleton as well.
Yeah, the Batgirl cover is Middleton, and that's a fine cover, I will say.
Oh, the Batgirl?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll do this one next. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and this was
my neck.
Massive for not only Todd McFarlane to do this, but massive for Image to allow this to happen. And this is the aforementioned Spawn number 311, the Wakanda Forever cover, which spurned a lot of people, which created a lot of controversy because people complained. Get this, comic book fans. We talked this a couple weeks ago, that people complained that they just made Spawn black because of Chadwick Boseman. Spoiler alert, after 311 issues of Spawn's black. Spawn's been black for 30 years. Okay. Isn't he? He's a cop, right? He's a former cop that's killed in line of duty. He's told. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah, it was his. Let me double check real quick. Yeah.
A book.
He was a corrupt cop.
Okay.
Know that.
Here is this is one of my least favorite scenes. God, I hate this part of the movie.
Which one? Tell me.
It's the battle. It's the beginning of the Clone Wars. The battle between Genosa.
You're talking about like the whole pivotal scenes, like close up camera.
God, I hate the digital zooms. I hate digital zooms.
Oh man,
bugs the so enemy. You so took edgy. It took me completely out of the movie in a pivotal part of the movie.
So edgy.
And there's just one where they're focusing on one of the clone ships, and then I gotta zoom all the way over here across a battlefield, and just how they did. Okay, here we go. This is also a pivotal scene. Turn on the transponder. What do we see here? The plans of the great battle station of the Galactic Empire. The first time we see the Death Star outside of the original trilogy. Going back to the flex pool because we'll get to the big scene here in just a moment. But here is a book that has, in the course of less than 7 days, has tripled, count it, tripled in price already. This is issue number 1 of the miniseries written by the legendary Kevin Eastman. He is rejoined by his partner in crime. This is issue number 1 of The Last Ronin. Fantastic cover.
Great.
I've not read it yet. I will be going to Comicsology for this one.
Read. Really good read, dude. I enjoyed it.
So, by the way, Kevin, if you're still listening, Kevin Eastman, that is, still waiting for my freaking commission. I'm hoping to get it someday. I don't want to spoil it, but I have commissioned Kevin Eastman to do a piece of artwork for me, original piece of artwork, involving the Ninja Turtles. I won't get into too much of it. But this next book, it's funny, the story that this book has taken on this show alone. It was 4 months ago, just about 100 feet, maybe not even that, from where I sit now. I filmed an episode with JR. It was when we decided to go with the goofy titles for our shows, and this book came from the show that we did, where we did it was like an entire episode of Flex Pool. I had my entire collection spread out on my living room floor. And JR had stepped away for a moment. I was showing you, the fans, a book that I covet, and then I dropped it. I dropped Amazing Spider-Man number 300.
You dropped the ball in so many ways. So many ways.
So I decided that it was going to need to be slabbed. It was going to need to be pressed. I sent it away with low expectations, despite the fact that, shout out to Javelle. Javelle is pretty impeccable when it comes to grading a raw book. He knows what to look for, and he is trained. If there is a Jedi master at Comic Asylum, it is Javelle, hands down. Javelle is the closest thing we have to a Jedi master at the store. I would hands down say that JR and I are the two Padawan learners when it comes to knowing what to look for in a book. Anyways, Javelle never let me down. He told me I had gold. He told me I had a high grade book. I sent it away. He did me a huge solid. He went against my wishes and had it cleaned.
And pressed. You pressed it, but like you had it clean too, yeah.
I had it clean. This is the back of the book that JR told me looked like absolute dog shit. Mm-hmm. It looks amazing. I can't even tell where they fixed it, so to speak. But the book I'm talking about is Amazing Spider-Man number 300.
First appearance. It wasn't now. It was the other book.
Oh, was it? Okay. Regardless, okay. Either way, this. I read the report. This one had some work that needed to be done. Not nearly as vibrant of the colors on the red and the black as a like a 9/8 or a 10, or just, let's face it, a 9/6 or a 9/8.
Yeah.
A little off white on the number box, but I managed my expectations as best I could. But still, coming through huge, 9.2 on the CGC. Again, origin and first full appearance of Venom, aka Eddie Brock, a Thing appearance, and the last black costume. So this is the last time, if I'm not mistaken, JR, this is one of the last times that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, wore the black suit, which of course debuted in issue number 8 of Marvel Presents Secret Wars. As we are now towards the end, this is where the foreshadowing has took place. Master Anakin, or not Master Anakin, Anakin Skywalker has lost his hand. No, has he lost his hand yet?
Yeah, he should. No, he should be still fighting, right? He should be still fighting the guy
Still
with two
fighting.
sabers.
Yeah.
No, it's
I am a slow learner.
It's a little bit past that. It's after he's gonna slash some like cables and do some stuff.
Yeah. So right now, Anakin is fighting with two lightsabers. He just broke one of them. I think that was
I think what's his name?
Obi-Wan's green lightsaber.
There it is.
This was a really cool scene. I liked it. This was very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. The dark scene, the saber blade lights lighting up their faces. Again, the evil, the red and the blue. Again, a very well. Oh, there we go. Chopped off the arm. So funny. What I like about that scene of Anakin, and here we come, the shadowy figure coming from the back, and it is the greatest of all time, Master Yoda, the greatest lightsaber fighter. Yeah, this was an interesting fight.
He does flippy spinny for just one movie. I can't call him the greatest, but okay.
Well, no, he fought Palpatine in the third movie. I believe, was it Palpatine?
Yeah,
in the Senate chamber.
I mean, yeah, but like I'm like, when you have extended storylines and you have basically kind of like two series of just one Luke Skywalker, and everything from the extended universe coming involved, especially how he develops especially in the extended universe where he develops his powers, his Jedi powers. There's just no comparison to me. But then, hey, never know. There were some extended stuff for Yoda, but yeah. Oh, but onto your other thing, when you're looking at flippy spinny green little man. When you onto your point of your 9.2, though, I will say, for those keeping track, and I will always say this: if you go to Comic Asylum in Palm Desert, California, you say hi to Chick, you're trying to get your CGC, you're trying to get your book CGC, and Javel's there, you'll know Javel. He's that big Filipino dude that looks super, super intimidating, right? And if he tells you, right, hey, get yours pressed and clean, I'm looking at your book, get it pressed and clean, cost a little bit extra, you friggin' do it.
Yeah.
You
Lesson learned.
You do it. You do it. Specifically if it's a book that, like, okay, so here, a 9.2 for this guy right here, sold in August 8th of this year for $425, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 months ago. Yeah, basically, right? One that sold literally tonight, $710.
And you could easily go higher.
It'll go into the thousands eventually.
Yeah,
it's because Amazing Spider-Man 300 is one of those books that just continued to rise. Right, there was one sold yesterday for $830. Granted, that was a newsstand version, but still $830. Like $860. Signed one, $910 by Todd McFarlane. You have a raw for $720 sold. Okay, cool, whatever. But like, first appearances in books are specifically older books are the ones you want to go for. Your Venoms, your if you have the money to spend, your Amazing Fantasy 15 for Spider-Man, go for it, man. But like, those books will always continue to go up. Period.
Now this was throw some stats at you for ASM 300. as it looks like we're getting towards the end here of flippy green. As Count Dooku escapes and finds his way back into the city planet that is Coruscant. Again, I really think that Count Dooku is a severely underrated character.
Incredibly
So
underrated.
we will see the one of the very few times, and I thought, and this is another one of my favorite scenes because it's a conflicting scene, and that is when one of the last scenes of the movie is coming here in a moment is they stand over the what's the word I'm looking for, the formation of the clone army at Coruscant.
Oh, yeah.
And they're loading onto these destroyer ships, and you look at them, and they are eerily similar. And there we go in the black shroud. It is Darth Sidious. George Lucas thinks we don't know that it is Palpatine. But going back to a very conflicting scene that you're going to see here in a moment, it's after kind of a meeting of the Jedi, is as they're standing over, they see the droid or the clone army loading onto these ships, preparing for the inevitable Clone War, and it slightly plays the Imperial March as Jedi look over what they think is their grand army, and it's so conflicting. It's a story in itself, because we know that 30 years from now that song is synonymous with the greatest evil in the galaxy, and that is Darth Vader. But it is kind of eerily kind of foreshadowing that they play this.
Yeah, it's dramatic. It's easily
very
dramatic.
good job.
Yeah, it's dramatic irony. We know the ending to the story. Period. We know the ending to your story. It's just more so like I said before in my original point, like hours ago, where those who win are those who are right. Will be painted as the ones that are right.
Yeah.
And so in this sense, right, the Jedi's, the governing force, the police force of the galaxy at the time, had a new clone army to instill their beliefs and their righteousness onto the galaxy, because the separatists are the bad guys, so therefore the clones are the good guys.
So they're playing the Imperial March as the clone armies load into these destroyers. I thought it was the Jedi overlooking. It's not. So maybe, I mean, it is somewhat foreshadowing. Yeah, we just saw Darth Sidious with Count Dooku, but now we see now it's fast forward, we see Padme and Anakin being married on Naboo
with his robotic arm.
Which is funny, because isn't that something that who was it that stole it? Was it Marvel?
What?
Who stole the arm cutting off thing? Oh gosh, now I can't think of what it was. But
like in what essence though? Like which property are you talking about?
I think it's Marvel, where everyone in phase 1 or phase 2, every property, someone loses an arm, I think. I'll have to go back. We'll do that research for another time. But was it this shot?
Which one?
Oh no, they did fix it. When they shot that last scene of them on the ocean at Naboo, there was I think it's because they shot it in a different cinescope, in a different aspect ratio.
Yeah,
and it was stretched in the DVD release. So, but nonetheless, there is episode 2, Attack of the Clones. looking back at it, I think that it's a better story than people give credit for it. I think that it's not a good. It's a fun movie, not a good film.
You know,
if that makes any sense. I was gonna get into some statistics with CGC, but we could do that another time. If we do another collector's issue. Talk about ASM 300, but yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this because we get to kind of talk about the movie as we're watching it, give our little like mystery science 3000 kind of approach to it, and at the same time, like I said, go back down memory lane, and then as adults now, as we look at films a lot differently, kind of give like, oh god, they should have done this differently. But overall, like, I mean, you said what you said. Good idea, poorly executed.
Yeah, extremely poorly executed, especially for the time, because you're like, what was it was the 2000s, and it was 2000 was heavily infused by Matrix and by sci-fi stuff, so that was a good time for all this stuff coming back. But like the Matrix had a good storyline going for it. Granted, they really fudged it up when the later parts got super extravagant, but like would you just focus on an initial story with branching storylines? Cool, that could have been this. If they just would have focused on the relationship between the destruction of the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and sprinkle in the Clone Wars in there somewhere, cool, right? But it was just too many convoluted storylines, too many other things that Lucas Lucas has tried to kind of tie up in a bow and get done with, because he wanted everything to be finished with episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, or what we fought, or what I will call for the next episode, Revenge of the High Ground.
Revenge of the High Ground.
Oh my gosh, man! The memes that just from that freaking saying alone is amazing. But
well, with that said, JR did hit the nail right on the head. The kind of precursor to what we have going on next week. And again, I apologize if this episode, when you guys get to this episode, if it's a little late. As we're recording this on a Monday night, it probably will not get edited until tomorrow night. So it's going to be a late drop, which means that the third part to this series is going to be right around the corner. So let's go, people, start listening to this stuff. Got some positive feedback from the first episode. People really digging on kind of like I said, the Mystery Science 3000 approach to the show. So again, we'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know. Give us those 5-star reviews if we deserve it on all the different podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor.fm, iHeartRadio, and all the socials. Guys. Send us some love here at PS Comics I Love You on Instagram and Facebook. PS Comics I Love You on Twitter. PS Comics I Love You at gmail.com is the email address. I'm always checking that, looking for some feedback. And as always, you can find a way to support the show by going to anchor.fm/KRP Broad. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Anchor.fm/PS Comics I Love You. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are.
Can't see it.
You can't see it there.
It's fine. It's just Venom 3.
Oh, is it one of the new Venoms?
No. It's my old Venom that I've always constantly had. I just want to rub it in your face because it's like my 4th one, but it's fine.
You're one of those guys that you'll buy multiples. I think the only one in recent memory that I've bought multiples. It's a good book. It's a good cover. You see those things a lot.
I mean,
how many of you gotten slabbed?
I just sold my first slab of Venom 3. And then I have one coming in, and then I'm gonna send 3 out, and then I have 2 of this print, right? I swore I had more, but I guess I didn't. So I'm gonna send that one in. My other one is already out there, and then so I should have a total of 5 coming back.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
Jared and I talked about earlier in this week. I'm probably on the precipice of sending some major books to get clean, pressed, and slapped. Probably looking at sending some early Avengers books. I do have in possession the first Avengers versus X-Men, and we're not talking the AVX storyline. We're talking back in the 1960s, 1970s, first appearance of the X-Men and the Avengers in the same book. Also, I have a first appearance of Ultron. That also is probably going to get sent off. I have a single digit Avengers book. Actually, don't tell you. No, wait. Is it Avengers or is it? That's going to bug me. Is it Avengers or is it X-Men?
The Avengers, dude. Looks like the Avengers. Who's the? Is it first appearance of somebody or no?
No, it was just a unique cover. Let me get to it here real quick. But I think I'm going to send my. I'm definitely going to send my Uncanny X-Men 141 and 142. So
smart.
Oh, the book I was thinking of. Well, first off, the first appearance of Avengers and the X-Men Avengers, the Avengers Volume 1, issue number 53. First appearance of Ultron, I believe, is it this one? No, I can't remember where it was. But I think it's number 55 is with the first appearance of and then I do have Avengers number 39. Maybe it was Uncanny X-Men. But yeah, I've been pretty lucky to stumble upon some pretty good Silver Age and Golden Age books. Yeah, I have Uncanny X-Men. Sorry, not a single digit. It's number 11. It's a pretty low grade, but it's a unique cover, and it's kind of cool to have a book from the Silver Age from 1965. That is probably going to get sent out. I have it as like a really super low grade, like maybe in the I think the 1 to 4 range.
Fine, dude.
So, but yeah, we'll keep you posted on what we do with CGC as we got nothing better to do. No cons to visit. What do we got there, bud? Oh,
No,
yeah,
it's basically no, my box right here just filled with all my CGC stuff that go out. So I got like nearly a box full. So yeah, tell you, man, like I got like I thought I had like 4 or 5 Venoms I did, and then I thought I switched them out already, but I guess I didn't. So I'm gonna send them out next batch with Javel with Comic Som. You can find them at Palm Desert, California. Give them a like and a follow, guys. I'm always sharing them out. We're always sharing them out.
Real
be
quick,
nice to Chick. Definitely be nice to Javel. If you're not,
yes,
I'm a come up there whoop your ass. Like, no, they're family. Stop. Just
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say this. I got to send a shout out to our boy Daniel Cueto. Guy had a great night. Great night tonight. Daniel Cueto. Daniel Cueto, an essential worker, busting his butt out there in La Quinta, working Panera Bread. Give him a shout out. Go out there and get some soup or something like that.
Was it La Quinta? I thought he worked in Palm Desert.
Maybe he moved. I thought, no, he worked at the one in La Quinta, dude.
Well, whatever it may be, the
one of the greatest of all time.
The Panera Bread that he works at was blessed by one of like what my compatriot said, the greatest comic book artist of all time. We're talking about the man who runs DC Comics himself, Mr. Jim
Lee. And I gotta give a little love to Mr. Cueto. Not only did he get to meet the legend, he got some original art.
Gosh,
look at that. On a Panera box, he has a Jim Lee Batman for Daniel Best. Jim Lee 2020. That could
what's Jim doing here, man?
Just chilling, bro.
And I'm happy that he's here because like when he was first here in 2018, it was hot as hell.
So I'm glad that he's here now when it's not hot, when it's cool, when it's nice to be outside and look at the sunset and all that stuff, man. Don't get me wrong, man. The Coachella Valley is a beautiful spot to kind of gander around. And I'm being fuzzy hell right now, but it's fine because I'm just gonna like
I will say this at some point and we'll end on this one. I'm not going to tell the story because I can't tell the story, do the story justice. And I believe JR was present for this incident. And that is when Javel, Maui himself, the big man, could not meet his hero, Jim Lee. He chickened out. You were there for that, weren't you? Didn't he chicken out?
No, he was there.
I thought he chickened out like he was too nervous or something like that.
Okay, you know what? Small tidbit, guys. Right here. Here we go. You know what I'm gonna do? Keep on talking about the story because I gotta find this. I gotta find this video.
So, long story short, Jim Lee's doing a signing at Comic-Con Palm Springs at the Air Museum. This is August of 2018. I'm hosting panels. This is just before I find out that I'm potentially going to host Jim Lee's panel. I'm at the booth for Comic Asylum, and everyone is spread out throughout the convention center or throughout the Air Museum. And I hear that Javel was supposed to was going to go get some books signed by Jim Lee. And the story I heard, and I could have misheard it, was that Javel chickened out. And that Jim Lee called Javel a not so nice name. So I will let JR, who I believe was front and center, was present for the said incident. And I'll let you just lay the groundwork.
So I chopped down this. My sister and I were there for the signing of Jim Lee, and she had something broke open and signed. She had a CGC there, and it is quite a hefty piece. And same thing as I. And so when we get to the front of the line, right, I give the spiel to Jim, like, hey Jim, can you say something real quick for my video, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh yeah, just can you say to Javel, man, you should have been here, bro. Like, what happened? You should have been here because Jim Lee is Javel, Halai, or Javel's his favorite artist, right?
Yeah.
Javel, owner of Comic Asylum, great freaking guy, complete badass. You try to mess with him, dude, you mess with me too. So but yeah, I asked Jim, like, hey, can you have a short video, say, hey, you should be here, man, right? So this is the video. Let me see if you hear it. Let me put my thing right here. Get ready. Oh, wait.
Javel, you weak bitch, you should have been here.
Called him a weak bitch. But but that was the deal. The story that I heard was that Javel was too nervous to go meet Jim Lee.
So here was the full story too, because I have a picture of Javel, right, which I won't show, of him taking a picture with Jim Lee, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is that I showed Javel this video, and I don't know why my thing keeps on blocking out me, but whatever's fine, you can hear me. And so I showed Javel and checked this video, and I sent it to our little group chat, right, for collectors here in the Valley. And they're laughing their ass off. Oh, it's funny, right? And Javel, he's laughing too, but he's kind of pissed off, right? Like, oh man, I should met Jim Lee. The next day, he comes in, right? He comes in and he meets Jim Lee. Candace and I, my sister and I again are in line. And this time, you get in line, and your first signature is free with Jim Lee at that point, right? He was just there for 2 days. Go in, we meet him. Javel is right there in the very front, and he's buying a full-on like a original print, or like the original, like, set shirt, right?
Yeah.
Thing. And he's like, oh, like, you gotta take a picture of him. And I'll take a picture, and I'm taking a picture. I'll take Javel's picture, which I should have took a video, honestly, right?
Yeah.
And as they're taking, Javel is right by Jim Lee, and Javel's a big guy, right? I go, hey Jim, That's the guy I was talking about in the video. Goes, oh, thanks. You don't whoop my ass now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thanks. He's gonna whoop my ass now. And then Javelle just like cracking up laughing. I'm like, oh, dude, this is awesome. Oh man. Yeah, he's a great guy.
And I will say this, having met Jim Lee, I did not get to host his panel. I got swerved. But he was gracious enough to sign 6 of my books at no cost. I will forever regret that he did not sign my Hush #1, which I believe is Batman, or is it Detective Comics 608? The one with the big boot kicking.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's the first volume of Hush. It was literally my next book in line. I got him to sign all kinds of other stuff, but nonetheless, I had to make sure he signed the X-Men books that I had. Those were important because I had Chris Claremont's signature on there as well. But no, Jim Lee's a good dude.
I'm just I'm looking at like my pictures now, trying to figure out that con. So like, I'm trying to figure out if I got that video, man, because
that's funny video. Well, we'll wrap this things up here for episode number. I think this is episode number
23.
Is it 23 or 24?
23, my dude. 20. It was because we did 21. Yeah, it was 23. Be 23.
I'm just gonna double check. I believe you, but I'm for some reason. Where'd it go? Like, this is like the only thing I post on YouTube now. Yeah. So yeah, as JR is absolutely correct. It is episode number 23. And we appreciate everyone's support as we there is.
She's near my sister, but I'm not putting her in this. I'm not showing her face. So.
But nonetheless, I appreciate everyone's support and sticking with us. And sometimes when we miss delays or missed deadlines and whatnot, you guys stick with us and whatnot. So
thanks, bro. Yeah, always grateful for you guys, man. Always, just so grateful that you guys are down for the cause, especially with us, man.
Yeah.
Just you guys are always tuning in, always giving us criticisms, always calling us out and stuff. Specifically, this guy here to my left, but it's always a great time, man. Always a great time. I'm just here just to flex now, just show him my face with Jim Lee. So yeah, but yeah, it is 10 o'clock, guys. I'm tired.
It's freaking 10:30, bro.
10:30. I've been up since like 10 o'clock yesterday.
Dude, did you not sleep?
I slept for like 3 hours, bro.
I was like, I've been up since
yeah.
I've been up since 4.
Mm.
And I cannot find the picture that I wanted to.
We're just rounding on now, guys. I'm pretty sure this is gonna get cut, but again, guys, thank you.
Oh yeah, I'll save it for another. Oh, hold on. I got the flex real quick. I'll flex on this.
Oh, you gonna flex on the thing?
If Jared's gonna flex, I'm gonna flex. So that would be backstage at Comic-Con Palm Springs. So yeah, that is my fat ass next to the legend. Which, by the way,
great guy.
I had no idea he was that short.
Asian. Of course he's short. He's Asian.
That's racist, JR.
I'm an aberration, bro.
Yeah. All right, he is.
I'm a big ass Filipino.
He's a big ass Filipino. That is almost an oxymoron. He is Jared Kampakungan, the Dark King, and for the next few weeks, he is the Sith Lord to my Jedi Master. I am Kevin Pill. I have Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. Also, not JR Comics 42. He's starting to post a little bit more. And we will see you next week with Revenge of the Sith, or as JR likes to call it,
Revenge of the High Ground.
Revenge of the High Ground. We are inching ever so closer, guys, to the original trilogy. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We will see you for episode number 24. See ya. Peace.
Hey, guys. All right, man.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, me too. Yes.